Chapter 694. Qin Haodong was not a virgin who had never been in love. Since he met Wei Yanran, he felt that the girl's eyes were full of love when she looked at him. At first he was a little strange and did not know what was going on. Now he understood that Wei Yanran liked Qin Haodong in the south of the Yangtze River, not him in the capital. He was afraid that Wei Yanran still did not know that he was the one who proposed marriage. Since this was the case, he did not say anything. He said with a smile, "Well, I'll draw for you." The painting supplies in Hua Mingrui's study were all ready-made. Qin Haodong picked up a brush and began to draw on the rice paper. Wei Yanran and the other two gathered beside him and watched attentively. Qin Haodong's painting speed was very fast. It was not an exaggeration to say that his brush was like a flying dragon. Soon, the outline of a beautiful woman appeared on the paper. The woman in the painting was wearing a long red dress. Her figure was slim and her skin was as white as jade. Although it was only a still painting, it gave people a very elegant feeling. Qin Haodong's painting technique was very strange. He outlined all the woman's body, but he did not draw her eyebrows and eyes. Her face was blank. But this painting gave people a very strange feeling. Even if they could not see the face, they could feel that it was a beautiful woman. Yi Qing said, "She asked you to draw, but you drew a woman. Who is this?" Of course he knew the plan of the Tang sect. Pursuing Wei Yanran was part of the plan. Today was a good opportunity for him to draw. Wei Yanran's attitude towards Qin Haodong was also very good. But she did not expect that Qin Haodong would not take advantage of it. She asked him to draw a painting, but he drew a woman. Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Sister, when can you change your temper? You can get married." Yi Qing reached out and pinched his waist again. "It's none of your business whether I get married or not. Hurry up and draw." Qin Haodong shook his wrist and the brush in his hand quickly sketched the appearance of a beautiful woman on the painting. A few seconds later, he threw the brush aside and said, "It's done." The three girls looked at the paper together and saw that the drawing of a beautiful woman had been completed. The woman in the drawing had clear facial features and the corners of her mouth were curled up. It was the expression of a sweet smile. Wei Yanran suddenly raised her hand and covered her beautiful little mouth. Is this me?" No wonder she felt familiar when she saw the person in the painting. It turned out that Qin Haodong was painting her. She didn't even notice the smile on her face when she was tasting the tea, but Qin Haodong painted it on the paper with perfect form and spirit. After seeing the woman in the painting clearly, Hua Mingrui's face was full of shock. It was not entirely because it was Wei Yanran in the painting, but because she saw the difference in the painting. If it were an ordinary person, they would only see Wei Yanran smiling in the painting, but it was different at this moment. She could actually feel Wei Yanran's emotions through the painting. To be exact, she could feel Wei Yanran's emotions in the painting. It was a kind of happiness from the bottom of her heart, as if her own emotions were infected. At this time, Yi Qing and Wei Yanran also saw the abnormality of this painting, and they also showed a look of shock. In the past, when they saw other people's paintings, even the most famous painter, they had never felt this way. After a long time, Hua Mingrui slowly came to her senses from the artistic conception of the painting. She said to Qin Haodong excitedly, "Mr. Qin, is this the legendary implicit meaning?" She liked the tea ceremony the most, but she was also very proficient in painting, so she naturally knew that the highest realm of painting was implicit meaning. Wei Qing did not know much about painting, so she asked, "What is implicit meaning?" Wei Yanran said excitedly, "The so-called implicit meaning means that the painter can show a kind of emotion in the painting and let people be infected by him. For example, in Da Vinci's classic Mona Lisa, some people can see Mona Lisa's tears in the painting and feel her sadness. This is a kind of manifestation of the realm of implicit meaning. It's just that this realm is extremely difficult to reach. From ancient times to the present, there are very few painters who can reach this realm." As she spoke, she looked at Qin Haodong with shining eyes, and the love in her eyes was much stronger. Qin Haodong nodded slightly and said, "Kind of." Hua Mingrui said, "In terms of the realm, Mr. Qin's painting is a level higher than Mona Lisa. They are both in the realm of implicit meaning, but Mona Lisa can only make a few people feel the sadness in it, but Mr. Qin's painting can make people feel the joy in it, no matter whether they know the way of painting or not. This is the difference in realm." Yi Qing reached out and pinched Qin Haodong's waist again. "What the hell is in your head? How can your painting be even worse than Da Vinci's? How many more things are you hiding from me?" Qin Haodong said with a wry smile, "Sister, do I need to hide it from you? I can't show all my skills when I see you. Wouldn't that be showing off?" Yi Qing glanced at Wei Yanran, whose eyes were full of little stars, and said in a low voice, "Aren't you showing off now?" Wei Yinran blushed. She looked at Qin Haodong and said timidly, "Mr. Qin, can you give this painting to me?" She was also very accomplished in ink painting, so she naturally knew the value of Qin Haodong's painting. If she took it to the auction, she would definitely be able to sell it at a sky-high price with the realm of implicit meaning. It was the first time the two of them had met. She knew that it was impolite to ask for such an expensive thing, but she really liked this painting. Moreover, the person in the painting was herself. She didn't want this painting to fall into the hands of others. Qin Haodong said, "This painting was painted for Miss Wei Yinran, so it naturally belongs to you, but you have to wait for a while." As he said that, he picked up a pen and wrote 8 big words at the lower corner of the painting. "A sweet smile can topple a city." These words were vigorous and powerful, adding a lot of color to the painting. Wei Yinran was instantly petrified, but her heart was beating violently, as if it would jump out of her throat at any time. What does he mean? Is he confessing to me? Does he like me too? After hesitating for a while, Wei Yinran thought that she was about to be betrothed to the man she didn't like. She gritted her teeth and made up her mind. The moment Qin Haodong handed over the painting, she said softly, "Can you take me away?" "What?" Qin Haodong held the painting in his hand and was stunned for a moment. "What do you mean? Could it be that this gentle and moving girl was open-minded to this extent? She wants to elope with me the first time we met?" Seeing Qin Haodong's surprised expression, Wei Yinran was so shy that her cheeks were so red that it seemed that blood was about to drip out. She lowered her head so deeply that her chin almost touched her towering chest. Hua Mingrui hurriedly explained for her best friend, "Well, Yinran's family will arrange a marriage for her today. The man is also called Qin Haodong and he is from an aristocratic family in the capital. It's a pity that Yinran doesn't like him. She has always liked you, so she wants you to take her away." Hearing this explanation, Qin Haodong was speechless. He felt that he was still happy. This girl actually wanted him to elope with her, and the reason she ran away was her marriage with him. Wasn't it a little too melodramatic? Seeing Qin Haodong's shocked expression, Hua Mingrui thought that he was surprised that Wei Yinran liked him, so she said again, "In fact, Qin Haodong is also a good person. He has reached the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm at such a young age. But Yinran doesn't like this kind of person. She likes talented young people. I told her about what happened at the exchange meeting in Neon before. From that moment on, she fell in love with you. Just before the tea party, she was clamoring to go to Jiangnan to find you." Yi Qing, who was next to her, was surprised at first, but then she figured out the key and immediately giggled. She laughed because Wei Yinran actually wanted to elope with the man she was engaged to, but Wei Yinran did not know this. She thought that Yi Qing was laughing at her, so she suddenly became even more shy and wanted to find a hole to hide in. Seeing Wei Yinran's embarrassment, Yi Qing quickly said, "You guys talk. I have something to do. I'll leave first." After saying that, she walked out and closed the door behind her. Wei Yinran's shyness eased a little when there was one less person in the room. She raised her head slightly and secretly glanced at Qin Haodong, wanting to see how her sweetheart looked at her. After coming to his senses, Qin Haodong also felt that this matter was very interesting. He did not say anything but said with a smile, "Well, I also fell in love with Miss Wei at first sight. I'll take you away later." "That's great." Hua Mingrui was also happy for her best friend, but there was a faint sense of loss in her heart. Yinran had found the person she liked the most, but what about herself? Wei Yinran lowered her head and said shyly, "If you want to leave, you have to be quick. Otherwise, if my family finds out, you will be in danger." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. Your family will be very happy to see me." Wei Yinran hurriedly said, "It's really not what you think. Although you are very outstanding, my grandpa has already arranged a marriage for me." While they were talking, Qin Haodong's cell phone rang. It was a call from Lin Momo. He apologized to Wei Yinran and said, "Sorry, I have to answer the phone first." He took the phone to the door, pressed the answer button and asked, "Momo, how are your preparations going? When can you come to the capital? I miss you in Tang Tang." "We miss you too." Lin Momo said, "Things are going very well. When I arrange everything here, I can leave for the capital, but now there is a shortage of funds." This time, Qin Haodong asked Yi Qing to buy the Tang Sex Club for a total of 3 billion yuan. After that, he made some changes and added a lot of things. In total, he spent about 4 billion yuan, almost emptying his and Lin Momo's cash. "How much money do you need in total?" 2 billion yuan. "If I have this money, I can make arrangements for Tangmen Traditional Chinese Medicine Company and Lin's Group, and then go to the capital. Don't worry, I'll transfer the money to you in a few days." Qin Haodong hung up the phone. He did not go back immediately but began to think about how to get 2 billion yuan. If he asked Chu Shenyue not to mention 2 billion yuan, he could even get 4 billion yuan. But he did not want to do that. His mother had worked so hard for so many years, and he could not ask for money as soon as they were reunited. But 2 billion yuan was not a small number. How could he get it as soon as possible? Suddenly an idea occurred to him. After the meeting just now, he had been thinking about how to help the 7 great families improve their strength quietly. Now he finally had a way. He could auction his pills. At that time he could not only help the martial artists of the 7 great families improve their cultivation, but also make a lot of money from them. This was definitely a good idea that satisfied both sides. Chapter 695. Qin Haodong considered the idea from beginning to end several times and confirmed that it was feasible. Then he turned back to the room and said to the 2 girls, "Do you know where there is an auction house in the capital? The bigger the better. I'm going to sell some things." He had just arrived in the capital and was not familiar with the situation here. However, the 2 girls in front of him were both from the capital, so they should know where the auction house was. Seeing that he was going to find an auction house, Wei Yanran immediately misunderstood his intention. She thought that he was going to prepare money for elopement and chose to sell some of his things. She was quite moved and said, "In fact, you don't have to do this. I still have some savings over the years which are enough for us." As the eldest daughter of the Wei family, she had never been short of pocket money. She had saved up tens of millions of yuan over the years. Qin Haodong was stunned at first, and then he understood what Wei Yanran meant. He said with a smile, "You'd better keep your money. I'm not used to using women's money." Hua Mingrui said, "My uncle runs an auction house and it's the largest one in the capital, the Gathering Treasures auction house. If you want to sell anything, I can take you there." "That's great." Qin Haodong was very happy to hear that it was the largest auction house in the capital. Only such a large auction house could attract the disciples of the 7 great families. If he found an ordinary auction house, he was afraid that these pills would not be sold. He said, "I want to sell some pills and I don't want to expose my identity." This was what he had just thought about. Before the secret of the peculiar demons was revealed, the auction must be kept secret. Otherwise, if the 7 great families in the capital knew that these pills were from his hands, others would definitely be suspicious and he was afraid that they would not bid for them. After all, in the eyes of these families, pills that could improve cultivation were absolutely treasures. They would not sell them no matter how much money they offered. "It's not a problem to keep it a secret. I'm very familiar with the butler of the auction house. You just need to tell him." Hua Mingrui said, "But I don't think you need to auction the pills. For example, if you take the painting you just drew, it will definitely be sold at a sky-high price." As soon as she finished speaking, Wei Yanran held the painting tightly in her hand and said nervously, "This painting is mine. I can't sell it no matter how much money it costs." She now regarded the painting as a token of love from Qin Haodong. She valued it more than her life. How could she auction it? Hua Mingrui smiled and said, "You wicked girl, I didn't say that I would sell the one in your hand. Haodong has the ability to draw. He can just draw one and auction it." Qin Haodong shook his head with a wry smile and said, "Although I can paint a painting like this in the realm of conception, it's not like painting other scrolls. I can paint it at will. I need inspiration." He was not lying. The reason why he was able to draw this painting just now was that he was inspired by Wei Yanran's beautiful smile. That was why he was able to draw it in one fell swoop. After the inspiration, it was too difficult for him to draw such a painting in the realm of connotation. "Sorry, I was too impatient." Hua Mingrui smiled apologetically and then said, "Even if it's not a painting in the realm of connotation, you can definitely sell it at a very high price with your level. If Qin Haodong just wanted to raise money, he might really draw a few paintings and sell them. But he also needed to help the 7 great families improve their cultivation while raising money. Obviously, elixirs are the best choice. I think art is priceless. Elixirs can also cure diseases and save lives. I think it's better to sell elixirs." Hua Mingrui looked embarrassed and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Mr. Qin. I'm too worldly." After that, she glanced at the clock on the wall and said, "There's a large-scale auction in my uncle's place today. The standard is very high. It will start at 9 o'clock in the evening. It's almost time. Let's hurry up." 5 minutes later, Qin Haodong and the other 2 walked out of the tea house together. Wei Yanran naturally took Qin Haodong's arm. She did not feel strange in front of this man at all. On the contrary, she felt very secure and at ease. According to Hua Mingrui's request, Qin Haodong wore a big hat and a pair of large sunglasses on his face. No one would be able to recognize him if they did not look at him carefully. Until now, Wei Yanran still did not know Qin Haodong's identity. She had been planning to elope with him, so she also made some changes to her clothes. She changed into Hua Mingrue's clothes and wore a pair of sunglasses. The three of them went to the treasure-gathering store together. It was indeed the largest auction house in the capital. It looked much larger than the one in Shanghai. The security guards here were very familiar with Hua Mingrue. After seeing her, they did not say much and directly let the three of them in. When they went backstage, Hua Mingrue directly found Wu Mufeng, the manager in charge of the auction. After seeing Hua Mingrue, Wu Mufeng said politely, "Miss, you're here. Do you want to join in the fun and buy something you like?" "I'm not here to buy something this time. I want to sell something." Hua Mingrue pointed to Qin Haodong and said, "My friend wants to sell something in our store." Wu Mufeng said, "No problem. What do you want to sell, sir?" Qin Haodong took out 3 spirit-culturing elixirs, energy-gathering elixirs and spirit-culturing elixirs in turn and said, "Help me sell these pills. Follow my instructions." As he said that, he explained the auction method a little more. Wu Mufeng asked, "May I ask which famous master made these pills?" Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "I can't tell you. You just need to sell them." "Well," Wu Mufeng said in embarrassment, "if they're not made by a famous master, I'm afraid they can't be sold at the price you asked for. If all of them fail to be sold, it will be a disgrace to our store." Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said, "Well, lower the starting price a little. 100,000 yuan per pill." Wu Mufeng's heart was full of disdain. The black pills were sold at 100,000 yuan per pill. It seemed that they were sold cheaply. How could anyone buy them? However, they were brought here by Miss Hua, so he could not lose his temper. "I'm afraid I can't do that. The boss will blame me," Hua Mingrue said. "Just follow my friend's instructions. I'll take care of my uncle." "All right." After hesitating for a moment, Wu Mufeng finally agreed. He had worked in the store for so many years, so he knew very well that Hua Mingrue was the boss's niece and the old master's favorite granddaughter. He numbered the pills that Qin Haodong took out and handed them to the staff next to him. Then he led Qin Haodong and the other two into a private room. This kind of private room was specially prepared for VIPs who did not want to reveal their identities. Sitting here they could have a panoramic view of the entire store. At the same time it was a one-way glass. They could see clearly from the inside, but the outside could not see what was going on inside. After asking the staff to bring in fruits and refreshments, Wu Mufeng turned around and left. The three of them sat on the sofa. At this time, it was almost time for the auction to begin. The venue was crowded and almost hundreds of people had gathered. When he saw a figure in the front row of the VIP seats, a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. This person was Chu Xianming, who had just left the Tang sect. With him here, it seemed that his pills could be sold at a good price today. Wei Yanran also looked at the guests in the store. Suddenly, her expression changed and her arm, which was holding Qin Haodong's hand, became stiff. Qin Haodong keenly felt the change in her. He turned around and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Wei Yanran said nervously, "My father is also here. If he sees us together, we will be in big trouble. At that time, we won't be able to leave the capital at all." Qin Haodong smiled. It was a good thing that someone from the Wei family was here. At that time he would not have to worry about selling his pills. He said, "Don't be nervous. Don't forget that this is a one-way glass. They can't see you at all." Wei Yanran relaxed a little, but she still said, "Haodong, why don't we go? Don't sell those pills. Anyway, I have enough money here." "Don't worry. We're already here. It doesn't matter if we wait for a while. The auction will start soon." "Well, I'll listen to you." Wei Yanran nodded, but her hands holding Qin Haodong's arm tightened. Obviously she was still a little nervous. At this time a young man walked into the auction house. Hua Mingrue said, "It's Yan Zicheng from the Yan family. He's also here." Hearing that he was from the Yan family, Qin Haodong could not help thinking of Yan Feifei. His heart could not help but twitch. He did not mind that this woman was a few years older than him, but he cared about his mother's opinion. After all, the two of them were rivals in love in the past. Now she suddenly became her daughter-in-law. He did not know if his mother could accept it. Just as he was thinking about it, the auction officially began. The host and the auctioneer walked on the stage together. The host held the microphone in his hand and said to the guests below the stage, "Before the auction begins, I'd like to announce a piece of good news. This auction has added a special item. This is a magical elixir. There are 3 kinds of elixirs: the big strengthening elixir, the energy gathering elixir, and the spirit culturing elixir. Among them, the big strengthening elixir can improve the cultivation of a warrior at the covert power level by 1 level. The energy gathering elixir can improve the cultivation of a supreme power below the 3rd level by 1 level. The spirit culturing elixir can improve the cultivation of a supreme power below the 6th level by 1 level. Of course, the spirit culturing elixir is also effective for supreme power masters above the 6th level. However, they need to take a few more to improve their cultivation. It's not as obvious as it is for those below the 6th level. After he finished speaking, there was an immediate uproar. Most of the people attending today's auction were from the aristocratic families in the capital. Many of them were martial artists. After hearing the effects of these elixirs, they immediately became excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. But then someone raised a question and shouted to the stage, "I want to ask which master made these elixirs? Is there any guarantee of quality?" Others also echoed. After all, they had never heard of elixirs with such good effects before. It was a good thing to improve one's cultivation, but it would be sad if they bought fake elixirs. At that time, not only would they not be able to improve their cultivation, but they would also suffer from chi deviation. The host said, "Due to the request of the client, the information of these elixirs is confidential. We can't say which master made them." As soon as he said this, the audience immediately shouted, "Who dares to buy this kind of elixir without knowing the information? What if they buy fake elixirs?" The host quickly said, "Everyone please be quiet. In order to increase your trust, the client specially proposed that the first person to bid for the elixir must try it on the spot. If the effect is not good, not only will they immediately refund the elixir, but they will also compensate them double." Hearing that the elixirs could be tried on the spot and the compensation would be doubled if the effect was not good, these people immediately quieted down. They were full of expectations for the elixirs mentioned by the host. Chu Xianming was sitting in the front row. When he heard the name of the spirit culturing elixir, his eyes were immediately filled with excitement. Chapter 696. Chu Xianming had just failed to ask Qin Haodong for the elixir. He did not expect to see the spirit culturing pill at the auction in the blink of an eye. He didn't think that the elixir was refined by Qin Haodong. Instead, he thought bitterly, "I was wondering how that boy could be so capable at such a young age. He could even refine the spirit culturing elixir. It turns out that he also got it from other sources. Today I'll buy the elixir and improve my cultivation. Let's see what else you have to say." Although he thought so, he was very shrewd and used to being cunning, so he did not act impulsively. He decided to ask his bodyguard to bid for the lowest level of the big strengthening pill to see if it was real. Yan Zicheng, who was not far away from him, was shocked when he heard the name energy gathering pill. His aunt, Yan Feifei, once said that the elixir left by the master was called energy gathering pill and it was very effective. It was the energy gathering pill left by that master that he was able to break through the bottleneck of the holy stage this time. However, there were not many energy gathering pills in Yan Feifei's hands, which were only enough for her. Although the other members of the Yan family were very envious, they did not get a single one. Today he heard the name of the energy gathering pill here. As long as it was real, he would bid for it at all costs, no matter how much it cost. What made him even more excited was that there was a spirit culturing pill at the auction today, which was of a higher level than the energy gathering pill. If he took this pill back to the family master, he would definitely win his grandfather's favor and the reward he would get would definitely be beyond his imagination. Not only Chu Xianming and Yan Zicheng, but also the others were eager to have a try. After all, the elixir that could improve one's cultivation was too rare and they could not see it at all. The auctioneer began the auction of the elixir. "Everyone, the first one is the big strengthening pill. The starting price is 100,000 yuan and each bid must be no less than 10,000 yuan. This is a golden opportunity. Now let's start bidding." Wu Mufeng, who was standing next to him, was slightly tense and a little nervous. After all, he had made the decision to auction the elixir. If all these elixirs were not sold, it would inevitably affect the reputation of the treasure-gathering store. At that time he was afraid that the boss would be dissatisfied. But after the waiter shouted the price, someone immediately shouted, 150,000 yuan, Wu Mufeng was relieved. He turned his head and saw Chu Xianming holding his bidding card in his hand. As the second young master of the Chu family, Chu Xianming was very famous in the capital. Seeing that the second young master of the Chu family had made a bid, the others remained silent. On the one hand, they did not want to compete with the Chu family. On the other hand, they all wanted to see the effect of this pill. After calling 3 times, the auctioneer saw that no one answered, so he knocked the auction gavel in his hand and sent the big essence culturing pill to Chu Xianming. Chu Xinming took the pill and opened the lid of the small jade bottle. Suddenly, the fragrance of the pill filled his nostrils. As a supreme power master, he immediately realized that this was a good pill. However, to be on the safe side, he still handed the elixir to the bodyguard next to him. "You go up and eat it. Let's see how effective it is." His bodyguard was a warrior at the 5th level of covert power. Originally, he was also skeptical about this kind of elixir, but now that his master had given the order, he had no choice but to take the risk. He followed the waiter to the front stage and then swallowed the elixir. The auction continued. When the auctioneer sold the other 2 items in succession, the bodyguard suddenly let out a clear roar. Then his whole body's momentum soared and he directly broke through. It only took him 10 minutes to improve from the 5th level of covert power to the 6th level of covert power. The bodyguard jumped up from the stage, rushed to Chu Xinming excitedly and shouted, "Boss, I've broken through now. The effect of this elixir is really amazing." "Not bad. You'll be rewarded when you go back." Chu Xinming was overjoyed. It seemed that this elixir was real. As long as he got the spirit culturing pill, he would not lose to Chu Xuanli at all. He could even win the favor of the family master, Chu Shanhe. He was not the only one who was happy. The attention of the warriors present was focused on the bodyguard. Seeing that the bodyguard had broken through, they immediately became excited. The road of martial arts was extremely bumpy. Often they could not break through to a higher level even if they practiced hard for several years. Now it only took them 10 minutes to break through. How could they let go of this kind of elixir? "Hurry up and auction the elixir. Put the other things aside." In the shouting of many warriors, the auctioneer had to suspend the auction of other items and continue to auction the remaining 2 energy-gathering elixirs. "I'll pay 5 million. As soon as the auctioneer announced the start of the auction, someone directly called out a sky-high price of 5 million. Many warriors were just about to grab the elixir, but they were frightened by this person's momentum. They turned their heads and saw that it was Wei Bingxing from the Wei family. Qin Haodong nodded slightly. This person was very decisive. It seemed that he had offered a very high price, but in fact he had taken a big advantage. Now everyone was in high spirits. If they bid step by step, they might not be able to buy this elixir with 5 million. After the auctioneer called out 3 times in a row, he knocked the auction hammer in his hand. Finally, the second big spirit culturing elixir was taken away by Wei Bingxing at the price of 5 million. Next was the auction of the third big spirit culturing elixir. As Qin Haodong had predicted, people revealed their prices one after another. The price of this elixir kept rising, and it was finally bought by Yan Zicheng at the price of 8 million. Seeing that the 3 elixirs were sold for more than 10 million, Wu Mufeng immediately smiled. According to the commission of 20%, the store could make a lot of money. Moreover, these were the 3 cheapest elixirs. When the remaining ones were sold, they would definitely make a lot of money. Next, the auctioneer began to auction the energy-gathering elixir. In the face of this kind of elixir that could improve the cultivation of a supreme power master, many warriors were even more anxious. They emptied their wallets to bid for it. However, the financial resources of these small families were limited. After 3 rounds of bidding, the 3 energy-gathering elixirs were taken away by the Yan family, the Wei family, and the Chu family. The prices were 30 million, 50 million, and 80 million respectively. The 3 elixirs were sold for 160 million yuan in total. Wu Mufeng was about to go crazy. Was this still an elixir? Even if it was made of gold, it would not be so valuable. Before he came to his senses, the auction of the spirit culturing elixir began. The bidding for the first elixir began. The starting price was still 100,000 yuan that Qin Haodong had set before. As soon as the auctioneer started, Chu Xianming immediately called out the price of 100 million yuan. He also wanted to follow Wei Bingxing's example just now. He wanted to scare others away with a sky-high price, and then take the elixir at the lowest price. Unfortunately, he still underestimated the attraction of the spirit culturing elixir. He was a level 6 Supreme Power Master, and Wei Bingxing was also a level 6 Supreme Power Master. Moreover, he had been stuck in this realm for almost 8 years. How could he let go of this elixir? "I'll pay 150 million, 200 million, before Chu Xinming called out the price, Yan Zicheng called out the price of 200 million yuan. He had just contacted the family master, Yan Fengwu, and he would get a spirit culturing elixir no matter what the price was. Chu Xianming was very smart. He also knew that he could not keep bidding like this. In the end, he could only bid higher and higher. He asked his bodyguard to secretly communicate with Yan Zicheng and Wei Bingxing. The 3 families all gave in and each of them took a spirit culturing elixir. Even so, in the end, the total price of the 3 elixirs reached 1 billion yuan. Originally, this method was forbidden by the auction house, but on the one hand, the three families did not dare to provoke him easily. On the other hand, Wu Mufeng did not care if they played tricks on him since he had sold so many elixirs. Finally, the auction of these elixirs was over. Some people from other small families did not get a single elixir. They could not help but stamp their feet and beat their chests in hatred. Their financial resources were limited, so there was nothing they could do. In the private room, Wei Yanran was stunned. She did not expect that these small elixirs would be so valuable. In the blink of an eye, they were sold for more than 1 billion yuan. Thinking of the tens of millions of yuan in her pocket, it was really incomparable. What kind of man had she found? He was making money too fast, wasn't he? Hua Mingrui was also very surprised. Originally, she wanted to ask Qin Haodong to sell his paintings. She thought that she could make money faster, but she did not expect that these elixirs were more valuable than paintings. At this moment, the door of the private room opened and Wu Mufeng walked in from outside. At this time, his face was already smiling like a chrysanthemum. Mr. Qin, your elixirs have been sold out. You sold them for a total of 15 billion yuan. Originally, we wanted to charge 20% of the service fee, but I decided to give you a discount. We will take the rest. You can take away 1 billion yuan. Do you want cash or bank transfer? Qin Haodong smiled and said, raise your hand and throw Lin Momo's account to him. Please help me transfer the money to this account. Okay, no problem. It'll be done right away. Wu Mufeng agreed and turned his head to ask the staff behind him to do the operation. Soon, 1 billion yuan was transferred into Lin Momo's account. Mr. Qin, I won't bother you anymore. Wait a minute. Wu Mufeng turned around and was about to leave, but he was called back by Qin Haodong. He asked politely, Mr. Qin, do you have any other arrangements? Qin Haodong took out a small cloth bag from his pocket and handed it to Wu Mufeng. He said, I have 10 spirit culturing elixirs, 10 energy gathering elixirs, and 10 spirit culturing elixirs. Go to the front desk and announce it now. But remember, don't auction them immediately. You have to wait until all the other things are auctioned. I see, Mr. Qin. Wu Mufeng carefully took the elixirs and then counted them one by one. He did not dare to look down on these things now. Each of them could be said to be very valuable. It would be bad if there was a mistake. At this time, Qin Haodong took out a small jade bottle from his pocket and handed it to him. This elixir is called Saint Elixir. It can help a level 9 Supreme Power Master increase the success rate of breaking through the bottleneck of the Saint Realm by 50%. The starting price is 500 million yuan. 500 million yuan? Wu Mufeng reached out to take the elixir. When he heard the number, he was so scared that his hands trembled and he almost dropped the elixir to the ground. Mr. Qin, is this okay? Even though he had been through a lot and this was the largest auction house in the capital, he had never seen an item with a starting price of 500 million yuan. Qin Haodong smiled and said, Manager Wu, you just need to do as I say. If it can't be sold, it's not a big deal. Okay, I see, Mr. Qin. Through the auction just now, Wu Mufeng had strengthened his confidence in Qin Haodong. He took the elixir and turned to leave. Soon, he stood on the auction stage and took the microphone from the auctioneer's hand. After announcing the end of the other items, he would auction the elixirs just now. The number had increased and there was also the most expensive Saint Elixir. As soon as he finished speaking, the whole audience was in an uproar. Many people did not care about the next auction and took out their mobile phones to make calls. Chapter 697. In Shanghai, Lin Momo hadn't gotten off work yet. She sat on the sofa in the office and frowned slightly. Recently she had been worried about funds. Lin's Jewelry and Tangmen Pharmaceutical Company had just entered Shanghai. They needed money in all aspects, but the capital chain was broken. Although the impact was not too serious and the company could still maintain its operation, it hindered her and prevented her from rushing to the capital in a short time. Although she had just called Qin Haodong, she didn't have much hope. After all, the amount of funds needed now was too large. At this moment the phone rang. She grabbed the phone and glanced at it casually. When she saw the content, she suddenly sat up with a look of disbelief. In such a short time, 1 billion yuan had been transferred to her account, and the source was from the capital. Where did he get 1 billion yuan in such a short time? She quickly dialed Qin Haodong's cell phone again. Haodong, I suddenly received 1 billion yuan on my cell phone. What's going on? I asked someone to call it, Qin Haodong said. I'm at the auction house in the capital. It's just the first payment. There will be more money coming in later. How many elixirs did you sell? 9. I just sold 9 elixirs. What? 9 elixirs sold for so much money? Lin Momo was shocked. The profit margin was too high. If selling elixirs could make so much money, why would he open a company? He could casually sell a batch of elixirs and he could get tens of billions. What's the fuss? My elixirs are worth this price. Qin Haodong's elixirs were made with 5,000-year-old medicinal materials and were extremely precious. If it weren't for the alien demon, he would have been reluctant to sell them in order to help the 7 great families. After all, 5,000-year-old medicinal materials were absolutely non-renewable resources. After he hung up the phone, the auction house had already begun to bustle with noise and excitement. When the news just spread out, the patriarchs of the 7 great families of the imperial capital could not sit still. A medicinal pill that could enhance one's cultivation was too precious for a family. After receiving the news, they immediately brought people and rushed to the auction house. Seeing the huge lineup of the 7 great families, those small families and rogue cultivators were desperate. When they heard that 10 of each elixir would be taken out this time, they still had a glimmer of hope and hoped to get one. But now there was no hope at all. Hua Mingrui said, "Haodong, I don't think your way of auction is right." Qin Haodong asked, "What's wrong?" Hua Mingrui said, "As the saying goes, the rarer something is, the more expensive it is. You should sell these elixirs separately and only sell 1 or 2 a day so that they can be sold at a high price. If you take out more than 30 at a time, I'm afraid the price won't be much higher than before." "I didn't expect that, T." Qin Haodong looked at Hua Mingrui and smiled. "Money is enough. There's no need to sell it at such a high price." He naturally understood that the rarer something was, the greater its value. However, making money was only one of his purposes. In addition, he also wanted to help the 7 great families, so he would not use the method that Hua Mingrui suggested. He naturally understood that the rarer something was, the more expensive it was. However, making money was only one of his purposes. In addition, he wanted to help the 7 great families, so he would not use the method that Hua Mingrui had suggested. Because his elixirs had caused a great impact, most of the other items at the auction were closed hastily. When all the people from the 7 great families arrived, the auction of the elixirs began. As Hua Mingrui had predicted, although Qin Haodong took out 10 big strengthening elixirs, 10 energy-gathering elixirs, and 10 spirit-culturing elixirs at a time, the price of the auction was only a little more than before. It barely reached 1.5 billion yuan. With more elixirs, the price people offered was naturally lower. At this time, when the last Saint elixir was auctioned, the auctioneer said on the stage, "The last one is a magical elixir. It's called the Saint elixir. It can help a level 9 Supreme Power Master break through the bottleneck of the Saint stage, and it can increase the possibility by as much as 50%. The starting price is 500 million yuan, and each increase is no less than 10 million yuan. We can't miss this opportunity. Now please start bidding." Qin Haodong sat in the private room and watched. In his plan, this Saint elixir would definitely be sold at a sky-high price. After all, there were very few elixirs that could help a level 9 Supreme Power Master break through the bottleneck of the Saint stage. However, he did not expect that after the auctioneer announced the auction for a long time, the venue was still silent and no one bid. After a short period of shock, he immediately understood. It seemed that these people did not believe in the Saint elixir. A level 9 Supreme Power Master was not like other Supreme Power Masters. There were only 2 in each family. If something really happened to one of them and his strength was damaged, he would immediately become the last of the 7 great families. Qin Haodong's guess was right. The masters of the 7 great families did have such concerns. After all, for so many years, there had never been a level 9 Supreme Power Master in the capital who broke through the bottleneck of the Saint stage. There had never been a Saint elixir before. If one could break through after eating it, it would be a happy ending, but what if it caused chi deviation? Losing a level 9 Supreme Power Master was a pain that no family could bear. There was a long silence. At this moment, Qin Zhangao raised the number plate in his hand and said, "I bid 500 million yuan." After he called out the price, the others immediately looked over. The other 6 aristocratic families were all whispering to each other. Everyone was also very curious about the effect of this Saint elixir. Since the Qin family was willing to take the risk, they would let him take it. Based on this idea, no one else bid after Qin Zhangao bid. In the end, the Saint elixir fell into the hands of the Qin family at the starting price. Qin Haodong shook his head slightly. Ignorance was really terrible. Such a precious elixir had almost been sold. But no matter what, he had just sold it for 2 billion yuan, and the purpose of raising funds had been achieved. After the auction, Wu Mufeng ran into the private room with a happy face. He looked at Qin Haodong with great respect, as if he was looking at the god of fortune. The elixir was sold at a sky-high price of 3 billion yuan in one night, and the auction house alone took a total of 500 million yuan. With such a high profit, the bonus given by the company was enough to make him laugh even in his dreams. "Mr. Qin, would you like to pay in cash or by bank transfer?" Qin Haodong took out a bank card and handed it to him, saying, "Transfer 2 billion yuan to the account just now, and then transfer another 500 million yuan to this card." "Okay, Mr. Qin. I'll handle it for you right away." Wu Mufeng was very efficient. It only took him a few minutes to transfer the two funds. Qin Haodong and the other two walked out of the auction house. Wei Yanran looked at him with admiration in her eyes. "Haodong, should we go now?" From the beginning to the present, she had been thinking about eloping with the man in front of her. Looking at her best friend being intimate with Qin Haodong, Hua Mingrui always had a kind of inexplicable envy in her heart. Although she tried her best to restrain this feeling, she could not control it at all. Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Don't worry. Miss Mingrui has helped me so much. I have to treat her to a midnight snack." He felt that it was not serious to call her Miss Hua, so he changed it to Miss Mingrui. Hua Mingrui said, "Haodong, just call me Mingrui. And it's not a big deal for me to help you tonight. We're friends, so you don't have to be so polite. You've helped me so much. It's only right for you to have a meal with me. Tell me, where is the best food?" It was already midnight. Wei Yanran had not eaten at night, so she felt a little hungry. She said, "Let's go to the Taotai restaurant. The food there is delicious." "Okay, let's go there to eat." Hearing this name, Qin Haodong's heart skipped a beat. Wasn't this the restaurant that Han Wuji was going to use as a dowry for Han Jiu today? Hua Mingrui did not want to be separated from Qin Haodong so soon, so she naturally had no objection. The three of them got into his car again and drove to the Taotai restaurant. After arriving at the restaurant, the three of them asked for a private room. After entering the room, Qin Haodong took off the hat and sunglasses on his face. It made him very uncomfortable to wear these things. Wei Yanran did the same. She took off the hat and sunglasses on her head and revealed her original face. The three of them called the waiter and ordered a few special dishes and a bottle of red wine. After the waiter finished writing down the menu, he turned around and walked out of the private room. The moment he opened the door, a young woman in her 20s happened to pass by the door. The woman glanced at the room inadvertently and immediately stopped when she saw Wei Yanran. She pushed the door open and walked into the private room. "Yanran, I didn't expect to meet you here. I'm really surprised." The woman came to Wei Yanran's side as she spoke. It seemed that the two of them were very familiar with each other. "Han Meilin, you're also eating here." Wei Yanran was obviously a little surprised to meet this woman. She looked a little nervous and a little unnatural. Hua Mingrui sat on the other side of Qin Haodong. She was very familiar with Wei Yanran and also knew the woman in front of her. She whispered in Qin Haodong's ear, "This woman is from the Han family. Although she is also a direct descendant, she is not favored. She and Yanran are classmates, but their relationship is not as good as it seems. This woman is jealous of Yanran's appearance and talent. She is jealous of her status in the Wei family and the title of the three beauties in the capital. Every time we meet, she tries her best to ridicule Yanran, as if this can satisfy her vanity." Qin Haodong nodded slightly. He had seen too many people like this. They were not good enough, but they tried their best to belittle others. At this time, Han Meilin said to Wei Yanran with a fake smile, "Yanran, I just heard that the Wei family has arranged a good marriage for you. As your old classmate, I really want to congratulate you." She said congratulations, but her face was full of sarcasm and gloating. Thinking of the marriage, Wei Yanran's face quickly turned cold. "Han Meilin, what do you mean?" "I don't mean anything. Didn't I say that I'm congratulating you?" After seeing Wei Yanran's reaction, Han Meilin seemed to be very happy. She said with a smile, "I heard that the man already has a girlfriend. The dignified eldest daughter of the Wei family actually wants to be a concubine after marrying him. Even so, it seems that he is not very willing. He hasn't given a definite answer until now. Women are doomed. Yanran, we have been classmates for so many years. Should I be happy for you? Or should I feel sorry for you?" Speaking of this, she sighed in a strange tone. It's not good for a woman to be too outstanding. She can't control her own fate. Maybe she will be taken away by her family for a marriage alliance. Wei Yanran was so angry that her whole body trembled. Although she was full of talent, it was obvious that she was no match for this mean woman in a quarrel. At this moment, a cold voice said, "You're right. Only outstanding and beautiful women can marry. An ugly woman like you doesn't even have the qualifications." Chapter 698. Although Han Meilin was not favored by the Han family, she used to be superior wherever she went because she was the eldest daughter of the Han family. Now someone publicly said that she was ugly, which was like stepping on a cat's tail. She immediately screamed, "Who is it? Who dares to say that to me?" After entering the door, she had been focusing on attacking Wei Yanran and only noticed Qin Haodong next to her. After seeing the two of them holding hands tightly, she suddenly felt as if she had discovered a new continent. She screamed excitedly, "Wei Yanran, you usually pretend to be a saint and say that you want to pursue art. But in the end you still secretly keep a gigolo." Wei Yanran was shocked and was about to pull her hand back, but Qin Haodong held it tightly. "Ugly people always make trouble. I am Yanran's boyfriend. What's wrong? Is there anything wrong with that?" In fact, although Han Meilin was not a stunning beauty, she was not ugly. It was a pity that she was standing in front of Wei Yanran and Hua Mingrui. There would be no harm if there was no comparison. This was a well-known saying. Standing in front of these two stunning beauties, she looked much uglier. "You gigolo, what right do you have to talk to me like this?" After being called ugly by Qin Haodong, Han Meilin was finally about to explode. But suddenly she saw the sunglasses and hats thrown aside by the two people. The anger on her face was instantly replaced by excitement. She shouted again, "Wei Yanran, no wonder I couldn't get through to you. It turns out that you are going to elope with someone." Ever since she got the news that Wei Yanran was going to be married by the Wei family, she was extremely excited as if she had been injected with chicken blood. She had been calling Wei Yanran and wanted to gloat as soon as possible to make herself happy. But unexpectedly, Wei Yanran's phone was always turned off and she could not get through until she met her here just now. Hearing that her thoughts were exposed, Wei Yanran immediately said nervously, I didn't. Han Meilin, don't talk nonsense. How dare you?" Han Meilin was so excited that her cheeks turned red. She did not have time to attack Qin Haodong next to her and said to Wei Yanran, "As the young miss of the Wei family, you're already engaged, yet you're still being intimate with a pretty boy here. I couldn't get through to you this afternoon and I couldn't find you. You still haven't come home and there are these hats and sunglasses next to you. Who would believe that you didn't elope? What does this have to do with you?" Qin Haodong frowned. This person was so annoying. He just came here to have a meal, but he didn't expect to meet such a big fly. He said impatiently, "I didn't expect that you're not only ugly but also annoying. Get out of here and remember to close the door. You're someone who relies on your face to make a living. How dare you talk to me like that?" After being ridiculed by Qin Haodong again and again, Han Meilin was furious. Her face became ferocious and horrible. "I'll tell you today that this has something to do with me and it's a big deal. I'll report you to the Wei family later. If the Wei family finds out that you eloped with their young miss, they will definitely turn you into a eunuch." After saying so much, she seemed to be still angry. She turned around and shouted at Wei Yanran, "Aren't you the most favored young miss of the Wei family? Now you're going to elope with a pretty boy. I'll see how you're going to face others. When the master of the Wei family comes, I'll see how you're going to explain yourself. Maybe you'll be kicked out of the Wei family. Let's see how you can pretend to be one of the three beauties in the capital in front of me in the future." Qin Haodong shook his head slightly. It seemed that jealousy was really a terrible thing. It could actually burn a person like this. He really didn't want to see this hateful woman's performance. He stood up and kicked her out of the room. Han Meilin didn't expect Qin Haodong to be so fierce. He kicked her more than 10 meters away and directly kicked her out of the private room. She got up at the door in embarrassment, pointed to the room and shouted, "Pretty boy Wei Yanran, just you wait. The master of the Wei family is having dinner here. I'll go and report it now. I'll see where you can run to." After that, she ran to the side like a wisp of smoke. Seeing Han Meilin running away, Wei Yanran suddenly became nervous. She pulled Qin Haodong and said, "Run quickly. You won't be able to leave when my father comes." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Why should I run? Even if I have to leave, we have to go together and we'll leave after dinner." Wei Yanran was so anxious that she stamped her feet and said, "Haodong, you don't know how terrible my family is. If my father finds out about us, he will kill you. I'm a member of the Wei family. They won't do anything to me. Run quickly." Hua Mingrui also said nervously, "Yes, this is not the time to be brave. You better go quickly or it will be too late." "I won't go." Qin Haodong said happily, "Don't be nervous. I'm here. Alas, I can't explain it to you in a short time." Hua Mingrui thought for a moment and said, "Well, the only way now is to say that you are my boyfriend and have nothing to do with Yanran. I hope we can deceive the master of the Wei family." Wei Yinran could not care about anything else at this time. She nodded and said, "That's a good idea. When my father comes later, I'll say that you are Mingrue's boyfriend. Maybe we can get away with it." "Okay, I'll do whatever you say." Of course, Qin Haodong did not take Wei Jun seriously. At this time the waiter began to serve the dishes. He said to the two of them, "Hurry up and eat. The dishes will be cold later." After that he took the two girls to sit down at the table, picked up the chopsticks and began to eat. Wei Yinran and Hua Mingrue were usually calm and elegant, but at this moment, they were so nervous that they could not eat. They looked at the door from time to time, afraid that Wei Junce would suddenly appear. In a private room not far from them, Wei Junce, the master of the Wei family, Han Wuji, the master of the Han family, and Zhao Tsangqiong, the master of the Zhao family, were sitting together drinking. As soon as the auction was over, the three of them came here one step earlier than Qin Haodong. As the masters of the top aristocratic families, the relationship between the three of them was not like that of ordinary people. They were friends and enemies, partners and competitors. Everything they did was based on interest. The reason why the three of them got together today was that there was only one topic, and that was Qin Haodong, a new force in the capital. Han Wuji said, "I heard that the old fox Qin Zhanao was arrogant today. He did not come in person but sent Qin Feiyu, a junior. As a result, the relationship between him and Qin Haodong became very tense. Qin Zhanlong went to support his son and grandson. As a result, all three of them were shaved bald. They were so humiliated." Zhao Tsangqiong said, "Qin Haodong is too strong. We can't compete with him at all." Wei Junce said, "In contrast, the Chu family is more tactful and played the emotional card. I heard that Chu Xinyue has promised to go back to celebrate Chu Shanhe's birthday." Han Wuji said, "Now the Tang sect is too strong. It's definitely not a wise move to fight against them. In contrast, our marriage strategy is very good." Zhao Tsangqiong said, "It's a pity that Qin Haodong has not given us a clear answer so far. I don't know what he's thinking." Wei Junce said, "What do your granddaughters think about this marriage? Do they agree?" Zhao Tsangqiong said, "Qinggu is very unhappy, but this is a big matter of the family. How can she, a junior, object?" Han Wuji said, "My granddaughter didn't say anything, but she has always been proud. I guess she must be very unhappy. But as Brother Zhao said, it's not up to them to decide this kind of thing." Wei Junce sighed. Wei Yinran's reaction was a little beyond his expectation. This girl sneaked out and there had been no news of her. Even her phone was turned off. This was unimaginable before. Zhao Tsangqiong said, "Master Wei, how is Yinran's reaction?" As soon as he finished speaking, before Wei Junce could answer, the door opened and Han Meilin rushed in. Seeing that it was a member of the Han family, Han Wuji's face darkened and he said, "How dare you? Who let you in?" "Grandpa, I have something important to tell you." Han Meilin was panting and looked extremely miserable. Her hair was disheveled and there was a big footprint on her snow-white dress. Han Wuji said discontentedly, "What's the matter? Can't you see that I'm entertaining guests?" "Grandpa, I just saw Wei Yinran. She is eating with a gigolo in the next room. It seems that they are going to elope after the meal." As soon as she said this, the expressions of the three people changed and the atmosphere in the room became tense. Han Wuji and Zhao Tsangqiong both looked at Wei Junce. Wei Junce frowned. Although Wei Yinran opposed this marriage, she had always been clean and had never been involved with any man. Why did she suddenly want to elope with someone? He said to Han Meilin, "Are you mistaken?" "Impossible, Grandpa Wei. I have been classmates with Yinran for so many years. I can't be mistaken. I was talking to her in the private room just now. And look at the footprint on my body. It was kicked by that gigolo. That guy looks extremely arrogant." Speaking of this, Han Meilin's mouth was full of pride. Over the years, she had always been jealous that Wei Yinran was more outstanding than her, had a higher status than her family and was more beautiful than her. Today she finally found a chance to trample on her. As a member of a big family, she knew how much the 7 great families hated eloping. According to the family rules, Wei Yinran would not be able to make a comeback in this life. Maybe she would end up like Chu Xianyue and be expelled from the family. Seeing Han Meilin's embarrassed appearance, Wei Junce believed that what she said was true and his heart suddenly sank. He had just proposed to Qin Haodong, but his granddaughter ran away with him. If the news reached Qin Haodong's ears, who knew if he would bring 4 9th-level Supreme Power Masters to the Wei family? He could not afford the consequences. Thinking of this, he suddenly stood up and said, "Girl, where are they? Take me to have a look." "Grandpa Wei, it's not far from here. I'll take you there right away. We have to hurry or they may run away." If it were not for Wei Jun's feelings, Han Meilin would have laughed out loud, as if she had already seen Wei Yanran's miserable end. She walked out with Wei Jun excitedly. Zhao Cangqiong and Han Wuji looked at each other and followed behind. If Wei Yanran really eloped with someone, it would be a good thing for the two families. After all, there would be one less competitor. However, the two of them were very shrewd, so they hid their joy in their hearts and did not show it. Han Meilin hurriedly rushed to the door of Qin Haodong's private room with the three masters. She kicked the door open and rushed in. She pointed inside and shouted, "Grandpa Wei, look, they're here." Chapter 699. Wei Jun looked in the direction of Han Meilin's finger and happened to see Wei Yanran's frightened face. He was so angry that he shouted angrily, "You bastard! Wei Yanran, look what you've done. Grandpa, you've misunderstood. They're all my friends." At this time Wei Yanran could not care less. She only hoped to protect Qin Haodong and not be blamed by the Wei family. Hua Mingrui also said, "Yes, Grandpa Wei, this is my boyfriend. He has nothing to do with Yanran." "Nonsense, I saw them holding hands just now." Han Meilin shouted and pointed at Qin Haodong. "Grandpa Wei, look, he's the toy boy." After hearing her shout, not only Wei Jun, but also Han Wuji and Zhao Cangqiong looked in the direction of her finger. Qin Haodong held the red wine glass in his hand and took a sip slowly. He looked up at them and smiled. "Master Wei, you're so angry? This red wine tastes good. Do you want to have a drink to cool down?" Wei Yanran was so scared that her face turned pale when she saw that he dared to talk to her grandpa like that. She had made up her mind that as long as her grandpa took action, she would protect Qin Haodong at all costs. At this moment, a scene that surprised her appeared. Originally, Wei Jun's face was full of anger as if he was going to devour someone at any time. But now, as if he was performing a magic trick, his face was instantly full of smiles. He said happily, "Mr. Qin, I didn't expect to see you here. It seems that you and Yanran are developing well. I won't disturb you anymore." When he saw that the so-called eloper was Qin Haodong, Wei Jun was overjoyed. The joy in his heart could not be described in words. If it were not for his identity, he would have jumped up immediately. Originally, he was worried that Qin Haodong did not give him a reply, but now he was with his granddaughter. This kind of good thing was like a big pie falling from the sky. Han Wuji and Zhao Cangqiong were originally watching the fun, but when they saw Qin Haodong and Wei Yanran together, they were shocked at first and then felt jealous. They did not expect that the Wei family had made such great progress. It seemed that Qin Haodong was not lustful. He didn't agree because he didn't see his granddaughter's face. It seemed that he had to hurry up and let his granddaughter meet him as soon as possible. Han Meilin stood at the side, happily waiting to watch the show. Who knew that Wei Jun would suddenly turn silent? On the contrary, his face was full of smiles. What was going on? She cried out, "Grandpa Wei, what's wrong with you? Can't you see this pretty boy? Yanran is already engaged, but she's still fooling around with a gigolo. You have to take care of this matter." Wei Jun glared at her in disgust and said coldly, "Han girl, you're meddling too much." Han Meilin was confused. She didn't know what the problem was. Not only her, but Wei Yanran and Hua Mingrui were also confused. All the measures they had prepared before were useless. Not only was Wei Jun not angry, but he was also very polite to Qin Haodong. Judging from his expression, it seemed that he wanted them to go to bed as soon as possible. At this time, Zhao Cangqiong and Han Wuji could not stand behind. They took 2 steps forward and said to Qin Haodong, "Hello, Mr. Qin." At this time the 3 girls in the room were even more shocked. The 2 family masters actually greeted Qin Haodong. What was going on? Could it be that he was dreaming? The restaurant belonged to the Han family and Han Wuji was the host. He said, "I didn't expect to see you here. Would you like to have a drink with us?" Qin Haodong raised his head, glanced at Han Meilin next to him and said to Han Wuji, "Master Han, is this woman from your Han family?" "Yes, Mr. Qin, this is one of my granddaughters." Qin Haodong said faintly, "Master Han, your granddaughter disappoints me. Not only is she ugly but she's also very annoying. Is Han Jiu like her?" "No, of course not." Han Wuji hurriedly promised, "Jiu is the most outstanding girl in our Han family. She is beautiful, intelligent, considerate and well-educated. She is 100 times better than Han Meilin. No, there is no comparison between the 2 of them at all. One is in heaven and the other is on earth." Now he was afraid that Qin Haodong would break off the engagement in a rage, and then all the efforts of the Han family would be in vain. "Well then." Qin Haodong nodded and said, "But I don't want to see this woman in the capital again, and I don't want to have anything to do with her." I understand, Mr. Qin. I will definitely make you satisfied. After saying that, Han Wuji immediately left the private room, followed by Wei Junce and Zhao Tsangqiong. After going out, he shouted at Han Meilin with a face full of anger, "You be asterisk starred, come here." Grandpa, Han Meilin looked at Han Wuji in horror. She did not know who this young man was and why her grandfather was so in awe of him. At the same time, she also had a bad feeling that she had poked a hornet's nest today. Han Wuji said with a gloomy face, "Don't call me Grandpa. From today on, you have nothing to do with the Han family. And immediately buy a plane ticket and disappear from the capital. Never come back." "No, Grandpa. I'm your granddaughter." Han Meilin was completely frightened. Although she was not very favored in the Han family, she was still Han Wuji's granddaughter. How could she be expelled from the Han family because of that gigolo boy's words? Moreover, she was not allowed to step into the capital for the rest of her life. This kind of punishment was too heavy. If she had known this earlier, she would not have dared to provoke Wei Yanran, let alone touch that gigolo boy. Han Wuji looked at Han Meilin with disgust. This ignorant girl almost caused a great disaster for the Han family today. In the face of the interests of the family, not to mention a granddaughter, no matter how important the person was. He waved to two bodyguards and said, "Drag her out. Don't disturb the distinguished guest's meal." Without saying a word, the two bodyguards dragged Han Meilin out of the hotel. The young lady of the Han family, who had just been thinking about how to trample on others, had now become a prisoner. The moment the door was closed, Wei Yanran and Hua Mingrui looked at Qin Haodong at the same time. They said in unison, "What the hell is going on?" Qin Haodong smiled, took Wei Yanran's hand and pulled her to his side. "It's very simple. I'm the rough man you hate. Your grandfather came to propose marriage. Now I've decided to agree to this marriage. From now on you are my woman." Although Wei Yanran had some clues just now, she was still too surprised to speak. She had never thought that the man of her dreams, who was proficient in all kinds of arts, was the one who had proposed marriage to her grandfather. She had always longed to marry the medical sage. Her grandfather had proposed marriage to the medical sage, but she wanted to elope with him. It was ridiculous. After figuring all this out, her heart was instantly filled with great joy. The person she was going to marry was the person she liked the most. Was there anything happier than this? Hua Mingrui was also shocked by all this. She did not expect that the two Qin Haodong were the same person. Qin Haodong looked at Wei Yanran and said with a smile, "How about it? Do we still want to elope? It turns out to be you. You bad guy, why didn't you tell me earlier?" Wei Yanran threw herself into Qin Haodong's arms and kept hitting his chest with her little fists. Qin Haodong patted her on the back and said, "Isn't it good? It's so exciting." "You bad guy, you almost scared me to death just now." Wei Yanran patted her towering chest and said, "It was true." At the moment when Wei Junce appeared, she thought that the love of her life was going to die. Looking at the intimate appearance of the two of them, Hua Mingrui's eyes were extremely complicated. She was happy for her best friend, but at the same time she was full of envy and a little jealousy. After this incident, the three of them were not in the mood to eat. They had a simple meal and left the hotel. Qin Haodong first sent Hua Mingrui home and then said to Wei Yanran, "Where are you going?" "I'll give you a ride." Wei Yanran said coquettishly, "I don't want to go. I want to be with you." "Aren't you going home? Aren't you afraid that your grandfather will be worried?" Wei Yanran sighed and said, "My grandfather? I'm afraid he's worried that I won't be with you." "Then do you want to go back to the Tang sect with me?" Wei Yanran nodded hard and said, "I'll go wherever you go. We'll never be separated." "Well, let's go home together." Qin Haodong was about to call a taxi when Wei Yanran said, "Don't take a taxi. Let's walk back together. I used to be very envious when I saw other couples walking side by side on the street. Today I can finally realize my wish." After that, she held Qin Haodong's arm tightly and leaned her head on his shoulder. She looked up at the vast sea of stars and sighed, "Life is so wonderful. I've always been eager to see you, but I didn't expect it to be in this way." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Why did you object to this marriage before? Isn't it good to marry a 9th-level Supreme Power Master?" Wei Yanran said, "I don't like fighting and killing. What's the point of marrying a rough man?" Qin Haodong smiled mischievously and said, "In fact, it's good for a woman to marry a rough man. But we've never met before. I'm very curious. How do you know that I'm a rough man?" "You're a bad guy." Wei Yanran had never been made such a joke before. Her cheeks suddenly turned red and she punched Qin Haodong in the chest. The two of them laughed for a while and Qin Haodong said, "In fact, art is beautiful but strength is more important. Only when a person has strength can he win the respect of others and protect the things he wants to protect. For example, today if I didn't have enough strength, I'm afraid I would have been a corpse by now. It's impossible for me to walk here with you. Similarly, if you have enough strength and you're a 9th level Supreme Power Master, you can control everything about yourself, including marriage. You won't become a tool for your family to unite by marriage." Wei Yinran nodded thoughtfully and said, "You're right. I didn't think so much before. It's a pity that I'm 20 years old now and I've missed the best age to practice martial arts. It's impossible for me to improve my strength even if I want to." Qin Haodong held her in his arms, stared into her eyes and said, "If you want, I can help you in a very simple, funny and happy way." "Really? You're not lying to me, are you?" Wei Yinran blinked her big eyes and said, "I heard that practicing martial arts is very hard. How can it be as good as you say? Otherwise, there would be masters everywhere in the capital. I'm different. I can help you reach the 9th level Supreme Power realm in a very short time." Qin Haodong said, "As long as you're willing to be my woman, everything else is not a problem." Looking at the handsome face in front of her, Wei Yinran said, I'm willing to do anything for you." After that, she slowly closed her eyes. Qin Haodong naturally knew what he should do at this moment. He looked at the delicate red lips in front of him and kissed them hard. Chapter 700. It was already past midnight when they walked back to the Tang sect. They loved each other and Qin Haodong took Wei Yinran back to his bedroom without any hesitation. It was just an ordinary night for ordinary people, but it was not an ordinary day for Wei Yinran. In the past few hours, her dream had come true. She had completed the process of transforming from a girl to a woman. At the same time, she had also become a 9th level Supreme Power Master from an ordinary person without any foundation. When it was time for breakfast, Qin Haodong took her hand and walked to the dining room. Nalan Wushuang and the others were surprised when they saw Wei Yinran. Yesterday they had planned to let Qin Haodong pursue the 3 beauties in the capital and control the 3 great families. However, he had brought one back in just one night. Wasn't it a little too fast? Moreover, judging from Wei Yinran's unstable aura, the two of them had used the double cultivation initiation method and succeeded in their cultivation. At this time, Chu Xinyue just walked into the dining room. Qin Haodong introduced Wei Yinran to her and said, "Mom, this is Yinran, your daughter-in-law." Wei Yinran said shyly, "Hello, auntie." "Child, sit down." Chu Xinyue knew Wei Yinran. She did not expect her son to succeed so quickly. Looking at the daughters-in-law in the dining room, she was so happy that she could not close her mouth. Qin Haodong introduced Wei Yinran to the others and then said, "Yinran was just an ordinary person before and did not know martial arts. Although she has the cultivation of the 9th level Supreme Power Master now, she knows nothing about martial arts. We need to help her in the future." "Hello everyone." Wei Yinran also stood up and smiled at the crowd. Chu Xinyue said, "This child is so beautiful when she smiles." After the meal, Yi Qing pulled Qin Haodong aside and said, "You're quite fast. I just created such an opportunity for you and you brought her back." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "I can't help it. Your brother is too charming." "Don't be so smug." Yi Qing rolled her eyes at him and said, "I just contacted Director Chen of the Wuxia Museum." "What did he say? Did he agree to my request?" Qin Haodong asked. Curator Chen said that as long as one of the 6 sculpted heads in your hands is genuine, he will agree to your request and let you see the sculpted heads in the museum up close. Qin Haodong said, "What are you talking about? The 6 bronze capitals in my hands are real. None of them are fake." Yi Qing said, "I don't understand this stuff. You'd better talk to the experts in the Wuxia Museum." After the discussion, Qin Haodong put all the 6 bronze heads into the box and rushed to the Wuxia Museum with Zhang Tiniu and the other 2 members of Daddy Security Company. Chen Dongshu was the curator of the Wuxia Museum. Yi Qing called him in the morning and told him that his brother was going to donate 6 bronze sculpted heads. As everyone knew, 8 of the 12 bronze heads were originally in Wuxia. Some time ago Jiangnan donated a sheep head. Now there was a dragon head in Taiwan, and the other 8 were kept in the Wuxia Museum. How could her brother still have 6 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals? Wouldn't that make it 15 bronze heads of the 15 zodiac animals? Therefore, in Qin Dongshu's view, Yi Qing's brother was either playing to the gallery or being cheated. None of the 6 sculpted heads in his hands was genuine. However, the Haodong Group was a first-class financial group in Wuxia. His son was about to graduate from college and was going to work in the Haodong group. Therefore he stayed to receive Yi Qing in person. In the reception room of the museum, when he saw that Qin Haodong was so young, he didn't have any hope for this donation. Obviously he was a young boy who knew nothing. He must have been cheated. Yi Qing introduced Qin Dongshu and Qin Haodong and then the three sat down. After a few polite words, Qin Haodong said, "Curator Qin, I have 6 bronze sculpted heads to donate to the Wuxia Museum. Please ask an expert to check them." "There's no need to ask an expert. I can identify ordinary antiques." In Qin Dongshu's view, there was no need to ask a museum expert to identify these things. He added, "Little Qin, I'm a few years older than you and I know more about antiques. You must be careful when you first enter this industry, or it's easy to buy fake antiques. But young people like you who always think about Wuxia are worth learning." Qin Haodong was slightly stunned at first and then he understood. It turned out that this guy didn't regard the things he donated as genuine. He didn't say anything. It was a waste of time to argue about this kind of thing. He asked Zhang Tiniu and the others to put the boxes in front of Qin Dongshu, and then they opened them one by one. As the curator of the Wuxia Museum, he did some research on antiques. Although he wasn't an expert, he could still tell the authenticity of ordinary antiques at a glance. At the beginning he was completely careless. He reached out and took out a snake head from the box. When he checked it from head to tail he became more and more serious. The snake head in his hand was perfect without any flaws. He couldn't help but be secretly surprised. Could it be that the fakes were so real now? Then he took out a bull's head and checked it carefully. There was also a bull's head in the Wuxia Museum. He looked at it for a long time and found that it was exactly the same as the one in front of him. Then he looked at the other 4 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals, but he still couldn't find any flaws. At this time he had completely put away his contempt and shouted to a secretary next to him, "Xiao Lu, hurry up and ask Dr. Shi to come here." Dr. Shi's name was Shi Jianying. He was the chief cultural relics expert of the Wuxia Museum. Secretary Lu said, "Curator, you forgot that Dr. Shi is hosting an expert exchange meeting?" Qin Dongshu said, "I forgot about that. Hurry up and ask Dr. Shi and all the experts of the exchange meeting to come here. Tell them that there are important things that need to be identified by them." "Yes, Curator. I'll go now." Secretary Lu turned and left. Qin Dongshu began to play with the bronze heads again, but the result was still the same. He still couldn't find any flaws. About 7 or 8 minutes later, there was the sound of messy footsteps. Secretary Lu came over with a dozen people. The leader was Shi Jianying, the chief expert of the Wuxia Museum. The other dozen people were also antique experts from all over the country. They came to the capital to participate in the exchange meeting. Qin Dongshu stepped forward and said to the crowd, "There are 6 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals here. Please take a look at them." "Little Qin. Brother Qin." With 2 surprised cries, 2 people came out of the crowd. One was Lu Qigong, a professor of cultural relics identification at the University of Shanghai, and the other was Guo Feng, the director of the Antique Appraisal Center in Jiangnan. Qin Haodong didn't expect to meet them here, so he quickly stepped forward and greeted them warmly. Lu Qigong said, "Little Qin, I haven't seen you for a while. I didn't expect you to come to the capital. Su Hui has been very unhappy since you left. Call her when you have time." Qin Haodong had a headache when he heard that. He had owed too many love debts recently, so he didn't dare to provoke this little girl. So he secretly left Shanghai without saying goodbye before leaving. Guo Feng took Qin Haodong's hand and said excitedly, "Brother Qin, we haven't seen each other for a long time. I didn't expect to meet you here." Qin Dongshu came over and said, "I didn't expect you 2 experts to know Mr. Qin. Mr. Qin is young and promising. These 6 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals were donated by him. Please appraise them." At this time his impression of Qin Haodong had completely changed. He used to think that Qin Haodong was just an ignorant and incompetent rich second generation. Now it seemed that it was not the case at all. Guo Feng said, "Director Qin, these 6 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals were donated by Brother Qin?" Qin Dongshu nodded and said, "Yes. Because the sheep head was personally handed over to the museum some time ago, Qin Dongshu was very respectful to him." Guo Feng said, "If it's donated by Brother Qin, then there's no need to appraise it. They must be authentic." Well, Qin Dongshu almost choked to death by his own saliva. If it wasn't a free donation he would really think that Guo Feng was hired by Qin Haodong. Seeing his expression, Guo Feng quickly explained, "Director Qin, although Brother Qin is a doctor, his attainments in antique appraisal are very profound, much higher than mine. The sheep head I donated some time ago was won by Brother Qin from the Neon people. He is the real donor. Hearing that the sheep head was donated by Qin Haodong, everyone present suddenly respected him. To be able to donate such a collection worth tens of millions of yuan to the country for free, this kind of character was definitely worthy of respect. Qin Dongshu said awkwardly, but now Mr. Qin donated 6 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals. There are 8 in our museum and 1 in Taiwan. There must be 3 fake ones, right? Guofeng said without hesitation. If I had to choose, I think Brother Qin's 6 must be real. Director Gua, I think we'd better appraise them first. It was Shi Jianying who spoke. If Qin Haodong's 6 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals were real, it meant that at least 2 of them in the museum were fake, which was equivalent to slapping the chief expert in the face. Qin Haodong said, no problem. Everyone feel free to appraise them. After he finished speaking, more than a dozen experts present took out their magnifying glasses and white gloves and began to carefully appraise the 6 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals. Qin Haodong didn't care about it at all. He sat next to Yi Qing drinking tea and chatting. Soon half an hour passed. These experts took turns to appraise the 6 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals at the same time. Qin Dongshu asked, how is it? Is the appraisal result out? Shi Jianying licked his dry lips and said in a dry voice, Director, the preliminary appraisal result is that the 6 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals have no flaws. They are probably authentic. He didn't want to admit this result, but he really couldn't find any flaws on the 6 bronze heads. He couldn't say that they were fake without any basis. Lu Qigong said, at present, if we want to identify whether these bronze heads are fake or not, we need other special tools. But one thing is certain. Even if these 6 bronze heads are fake, they are definitely valuable fakes. After hearing the opinions of these experts, Qin Dongshu didn't dare to make a hasty decision. He said to Qin Haodong with some embarrassment, Mr. Qin, we need to further appraise these bronze heads to determine their authenticity. Qin Haodong said, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I've donated these things to the museum. Can you let me see the other bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals first? Chapter 701. The Reborn Nanny Dr. Saint Chapter 701. Breaking the core and forming the nascent soul. Currently typing. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 702. After that, Qin Haodong turned around and was about to leave. Ma Wenjue grabbed his arm and said, you're the medical sage. Why did you leave her here? Qin Haodong said, her injury is too serious. Even the medical sage can't cure her. Ma Wenjue said anxiously, if you can't cure her, why should I? I'm not the medical sage, so I can't cure her. You have the Kailan holy body. Only your blood can save her life now. It's up to you whether you want to save her or not. After that, Qin Haodong turned around and left the room. Hey, don't go. As soon as Ma Wenjue finished shouting, Qin Haodong had disappeared. He looked back at Kim Ji-hyun on the bed. He had no choice but to take a dagger and cut his index finger. Then he dripped the blood into Kim Ji-hyun's mouth. Qin Haodong returned to the hall. His mother was chatting with a young man and a young woman. When she saw him coming in, she said, Haodong, come here. This is your cousin, Chu Mingli and Chu Ming. Wait. Qin Haodong looked at the 2 people. The cousin was about 25 or 26 years old, but he looked very calm, and his temperament was very similar to his uncle. The other girl looked like his mother. She was about 17 or 18 years old, and she was also a little beauty. Cousin, my father asked me to come over and learn from you. Chu Mingli took the initiative to greet Qin Haodong. His words were not arrogant and exaggerated like the children of big families. Chu Minghui looked at Qin Haodong with interest and said mischievously, are you cousin Haodong? Dad said you are very capable. One of them was calm and the other was lively. One was active and the other was quiet. However, it could be seen from their eyes that both of them were very pure and had good characters. Chu Minghui and Chu Mingli's martial arts aptitude was also good. Chu Mingli had reached the 3rd level of the Supreme Power Realm. Hui was the 2nd level of the Supreme Power Realm. Qin Haodong greeted the 2 of them and said, this is the first time we meet. I'll give you a gift. Chu Mingli said politely, cousin, you're welcome. Chu Minghui blinked her big eyes and asked, cousin Haodong, what good thing are you going to give me? You'll know soon enough. Qin Haodong greeted his mother and then took them to a quiet room. He took out 6 energy-gathering pills from his pocket and gave 3 to each of them. Cousin, eat these 3 pills now. I'll help you raise your cultivation. Thank you, cousin. There was a flash of excitement and gratitude in Chu Mingli's eyes. Before he came here, Chu Xuanli had told him that his cousin's cultivation was so high that he would definitely get a lot of benefits after he came to the Tang sect. He did not expect that he would come so soon. Chu Minghui shouted happily, "That's great. Cousin, I like this method of taking medicine to improve my cultivation. Otherwise it's too tiring and annoying to cultivate day after day." In fact, her aptitude was very good, even above Chu Mingli's. Unfortunately, she had always had the temperament of a child and couldn't cultivate in peace, so her cultivation level was slightly lower. The two of them swallowed all 3 restoration pills, then sat cross-legged, held their breaths, and entered into a state of cultivation. Qin Haodong stretched out his hands and put them on the Baihui acupoint on their heads. Then he began to run his genuine qi to help them improve their cultivation. After cultivating to the nascent soul realm, his greenwood genuine qi was much stronger than before, so it was twice the result with half the effort. About half an hour later, he helped the two of them digest all the power of the 3 energy-gathering pills. The two of them also broke through the bottleneck one after another and rose 3 levels in a row. Chu Mingli reached the 6th level of the Supreme Power Realm. Chu Ming also reached the 5th level of the Supreme Power Realm. "Thank you, cousin." After feeling his strength, Chu Mingli was ecstatic. He originally thought that it was very valuable for this cousin to help him break through a bottleneck. He did not expect that he would rise 3 levels in a row. At this time, he looked at Qin Haodong with gratitude and a trace of admiration in his eyes. This cousin was much younger than him, but his cultivation had really reached the divine level. It was simply unimaginable that he could make so many breakthroughs in a short period of time. Chu Minghui also said cheerfully, "Cousin Haodong, you're really amazing. It seems that with you, I don't have to practice hard anymore." Qin Haodong also liked this little girl very much. He reached out and patted her on the head and said, "Although it's very fast to improve your cultivation with pills, hard cultivation is still indispensable. Otherwise, it's easy to cause your foundation to be unstable, so don't think about being lazy in the future." Chu Mingli said to his sister, "Did you hear that? Cousin Haodong has said so. Don't always think about opportunistic tricks in the future." The little girl stuck out her tongue and said, "I see. I'll listen to you in the future." Qin Haodong returned to the living room with the two of them. At this time, Hu Shaoxian came over mysteriously and handed him a big red invitation card. "Whose invitation is this?" Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, "The beauty has an appointment. You'll know when you see it." Qin Haodong opened the invitation card. It was an invitation to a ball. The address was a place called Number 5 Mansion. The name of the name was Zhao Qinggu. "How is it? Are you surprised? Are you happy?" Hu Shaoxian said with a smile, "Zhao Qinggu loves to dance. She is known as Little Zhao Fian in the capital. You have to be careful this time." Qin Haodong smiled and saw that the time on the invitation card was 9 o'clock in the evening. It was just getting late, so there was still time. He put the invitation card in his pocket and walked out of the door. He took out his mobile phone to check the location of Number 5 Mansion. On the way, he passed by the Yen family's manor. He hesitated for a moment and decided to go to the Yen family first to see how Yen Feifei was doing. His feelings for Yen Feifei were very complicated. On the one hand, based on a man's instinct, he had to be responsible for this woman. On the other hand, because of his parents, he always felt that Yen Feifei's identity was a little embarrassing, so he had never come to meet her. After returning to the capital this time, there had been no news of Yen Feifei, so he wanted to go to the Yen family to have a look. With his current level of cultivation, the Yen clan's defense was practically non-existent. Without alerting anyone, he quietly snuck into the manor. The Yen family's manor was very big. Qin Haodong did not know where Yen Feifei lived, but this was not a problem for him. Although he did not use the sword to fly, after his cultivation reached the nascent soul realm, the speed of the divine god's legs was amazing. Soon, he went around more than half of the Yen family's manor and finally stopped in front of a 2-story building. He felt Yen Feifei's aura from this small building. At the same time, there were more than a dozen supreme power guards outside. It seemed that this should be the place where Yen Feifei cultivated in seclusion. After confirming that the person he was looking for was inside, Qin Haodong's figure disappeared from where he was and appeared in the small building a few seconds later. This small building was extremely clean and elegant. In the middle of the room, Yen Feifei was sitting cross-legged. The aura on her body was constantly changing. It seemed that she was breaking through the bottleneck of the saint stage. No wonder there had been no news of her these days. It turned out that she had been cultivating in seclusion. He stood there quietly and looked at Yen Feifei in front of him. Her delicate cheeks were extremely beautiful. It seemed that time had not left any trace on her. It was impossible to tell that she was a woman in her 30s. He used his spirit to feel her aura. Although Yin Feifei's aura was strong, there was still a little gap between her and the bottleneck of the saint stage. It was possible that she would fail again this time. It seemed that he still had to help her. Qin Haodong took out 3 spirit culturing pills and a saint pill and put them in front of Yin Feifei. Then he took out a pen and paper and told her what to pay attention to in breaking through the bottleneck. Finally, he signed off with the words, "Considerate man." After doing all this, he floated away. He believed that it would not be long before there would be one more saint stage master in the capital. Mansion number 5 was a private club belonging to the Zhao family. It looked ordinary on the outside, but in fact the decoration inside was extremely luxurious. This was a gift from Zhao Zhangqiong to Zhao Qinggu. Zhao Qinggu also liked to stay here. She loved dancing and often held private parties here. At this moment, Zhao Qinggu was sitting in her room in a daze. Yesterday, after Zhao Zhangqiong came back from the Taotai Hotel, he immediately talked to her and asked her to get in touch with Qin Haodong as soon as possible. She must win his favor and then marry him. She was extremely disgusted with the marriage arranged by her family. As a woman from a big family, she knew that her marriage should be decided by her family. However, she had already been engaged to Yan Zicheng from the Yan family. Now she broke off the engagement and married someone else, which made her feel very uncomfortable. From the bottom of her heart, she did not have any special feelings for Yan Zicheng, but her only hobby in life was dancing. Yan Zicheng was good at dancing. Although he was far from her standard, he danced much better than others in the circle of the aristocratic families in the capital. Women had to get married after all. Since there was no Mr. Right, she could only compromise and agree to marry Yan Zicheng. She was already very wronged. Even so, her family still broke up her marriage with Yan Zicheng. It was said that the person who made the new engagement was a 9th-level Supreme Power Master. But so what? She liked dancing, not martial arts. However, this time her grandfather had made a strict request that she had to please Qin Haodong and she had to do it quickly. Zhao Qinggu had no choice but to send an invitation to Qin Haodong and invite him to attend the ball today. However, her purpose today was not to please Qin Haodong, but to let him see her dancing skills and then retreat. If Qin Haodong could take the initiative to withdraw from the engagement, it would be the best. At least she would have another choice. At this time the door opened and Yan Zicheng came in from outside. "Qinggu, it's almost time. I think that guy hasn't come yet. It's very likely that he has been frightened by us." When it came to dancing skills, Yan Zicheng was also very confident. Among these young talents in the upper class, no one was as outstanding as him. He knew that Zhao Qinggu's thoughts were very much in agreement with him. He thought that as long as Qin Haodong came, he would definitely be able to defeat Qin Haodong in terms of dancing skills even if his cultivation was inferior to Qin Haodong's. "Come on, let's go out." At this moment, Zhao Qinggu's mood was extremely complicated. She hoped that Qin Haodong could keep the appointment, but at the same time she did not want to see him. A fountain square was built in the middle of the club. The grass here was green and there were all kinds of lights on both sides. This was Zhao Qinggu's favorite dance floor. "Qinggu, I think that guy doesn't dare to come. Let's dance first." After saying that, Yan Zicheng made a gesture of invitation. "All right then." Zhao Qinggu stretched out her white-gloved hand and put it on Yan Zicheng's hand. Then they walked into the dance floor leisurely. The two of them danced to the music. Zhao Qinggu was not very tall. She was about 1.65 meters tall, but she had an excellent figure. When she danced, she was like an elf. She was light, agile, graceful, and very spiritual. No wonder she was called Little Zhao Fian. It was a pity that Yan Zicheng's dancing skills were much worse, so Zhao Feiwu could not perform to the fullest, which was also a big regret in her heart. Chapter 703. The two of them had danced to a very high level, bringing a shocking sense of beauty to the audience. Today, Zhao Qinggu had invited many young people from aristocratic families who loved dancing here. After the song ended, these people cheered. Yan Zicheng's face was full of pride. In the whole capital, he was the only one who was qualified to be Zhao Qinggu's dance partner. However, there was a flash of loneliness in Zhao Qinggu's eyes. As a master who was very good at dancing, she had neither a good opponent nor an excellent dance partner. She could not be happy. As the saying goes, a master is lonely. That was how she felt now. When the two of them walked out of the dance floor, they suddenly saw a tall and straight figure standing beside them with a faint smile on his face. Zhao Qinggu's heart skipped a beat. Although she had never seen this person before, she could guess his identity. Qin Haodong was finally here. Yan Zicheng also saw Qin Haodong. His proud smile suddenly disappeared and his face turned into hostility. "Hello, Miss Zhao." Qin Haodong smiled slightly. Seeing this handsome face, Zhao Qingwu could not help but be absent-minded. She had to admit that this person was too handsome, much more handsome than Yan Zicheng. But then she shook her head. What was the use of being handsome? What she pursued was the highest level of dancing. It was useless to be a handsome vase who could not dance. Before Zhao Qingwu could speak, Yan Zicheng said provocatively, "Qin Haodong, you saw my dance just now. Do you dare to compete with me?" Qin Haodong ignored him and turned to Zhao Qingwu and said, "Miss Qingwu, are you lonely?" After he said that, the people around him burst into an uproar. In their eyes, Qin Haodong's words were very frivolous. It was simply flirting. Yan Zicheng said angrily, "Qin, what did you say? You're too noisy. Get lost." Qin Haodong felt that he was too annoyed. He waved his hand gently and an invisible force pushed him 7 or 8 meters away. Yan Zicheng was so angry that his face turned red, but he did not dare to say anything. At this moment he was much sober. The person in front of him was a 9th-level Supreme Power Master, who was at the same level as his aunt, Yan Feifei. He could not afford to provoke him. Zhao Qingwu's face darkened. She looked at Qin Haodong and said, "What do you mean? Are you showing off in front of me?" "I don't mean anything. I just don't like to be disturbed when I'm talking." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Miss Qingwu, but I can see that you are not happy." Zhao Qingwu was shocked. She knew that only she knew her secret. Of her own. "You cannot dance?" Zhao Qingwu was shocked. She was the only one who knew her secret. How did this person see through it? "Are you saying that you can dance better than me?" Qin Haodong frowned, glanced at him and said, "Didn't Yan Fengwu teach you that it's impolite to interrupt others when they are talking? If you disturb me and Miss Qingwu again, I don't mind knocking out all your teeth." Yan of Yan Qingwu, as the young master of the Yan family, Yan Zicheng was so angry that his lungs were about to explode when he was scolded in public. However, he still obediently shut his mouth. He knew that the person in front of him would definitely do what he said and would not be polite at all. Zhao Qingwu looked at the man in front of her and said, "Do you know how to dance?" Qin Haodong smiled modestly and said, "I know a little, but I'm much better than some people." Ever since she saw this man, Zhao Qingwu's good impression of him was increasing every second. This man was not only handsome but also domineering. There was a kind of charming charm in his every movement. If he really knew how to dance, he would be the perfect choice. Thinking of this, she said solemnly, "Then let's have a dance. If you can satisfy me, I'll marry you. If you can't satisfy me, then we'll break off our engagement. It's a deal." Qin Haodong stretched out his right hand like a gentleman and made an inviting gesture. Zhao Qingwu also stretched out her hand, but Qin Haodong took off the 2 white gloves on her hands in an instant and threw them into the trash can next to him. "I know you don't like to be touched by others, but I'm different. I'm your future man, so the gloves must be taken off." "You." Looking at Qin Haodong's domineering eyes, Zhao Qingwu hesitated for a moment and finally gave in. She stretched out her white and tender little hand and put it in his palm. Yan Zicheng, who was next to him, was burning with anger. Zhao Qingwu had been dancing with him for so many years and she had always worn gloves. She did not give him a chance to touch her skin at all. Today was the first time they met, but she let someone else hold her hand. He couldn't help but curse in his heart, "B***tis. What a B***tis." However, he only dared to be angry in his heart and did not dare to show it at all. Then he looked at Qin Haodong fiercely. "I don't believe that a bumpkin from another place can dance better than me." He stood there waiting to see Qin Haodong make a fool of himself, but soon his eyes widened. He saw that Qin Haodong's posture was extremely beautiful, and there was a natural feeling in his every move. It seemed that he did it casually, but it was extremely beautiful and natural. It was a perfect fit with Zhao Qingwu's beautiful dance. What the hell is going on? Has this bumpkin practiced dancing before? Yan Zicheng's heart was full of doubts. He did not know that when Qin Haodong was in the cultivation world, he had come into contact with a kind of cultivation method called terpsichore. This kind of terpsichore was a combination of dancing and martial arts. Although it was not the most powerful martial arts skill, it was definitely the most beautiful one. Moreover, after his cultivation reached the saint stage, his every move was in harmony with heaven and earth and in line with the way of nature. Under the superposition of the two, Qin Haodong's dance was not only 100 times better than Yan Zicheng's, but also not inferior to Zhao Qingwu's. At first, Zhao Qingwu was quite surprised. She did not expect Qin Haodong to be so proficient in dancing. After getting used to it, she was ecstatic. She devoted herself to the dance without any distractions and performed the graceful dance to the fullest. The passionate dance of the two was really beautiful. In addition to the music, everyone else at the scene held their breath and was deeply fascinated by the dance in front of them. Zhao Feiwu's dancing skills were well known. She was known as Little Zhao Fian in the capital. However, with Qin Haodong as her dance partner, she performed far better than usual today. Her figure was graceful, her dance was graceful, and her expression was beautiful. It could be seen that Yan Zicheng had indeed lowered her level before. Qin Haodong's performance was also far beyond everyone's expectations. No one expected that this young man would perform so well. No one compared him with Yan Zicheng because there was really no comparison between the two. Just when everyone was fascinated by the visual feast in front of them, Qin Haodong took Zhao Fian's arm and gently dragged her in his palm. Then he continued to dance. Qin Haodong's dance was vigorous and powerful. He was heroic and full of masculinity. Zhao Qingwu did not stop at all. She danced gracefully and her figure was enchanting. She showed the feminine beauty of a woman incisively and vividly, which complemented Qin Haodong and Zhao Qingwu below. The two of them, one up and one down, seemed to dance separately, but in fact they were in perfect harmony. Every movement was full of beauty. The onlookers opened their mouths wide. It was said that Zhao Fian could dance on the palm of a strong man. But that was only a legend. After all, no matter how light Zhao Fian's body was, she still weighed 70 or 80 kilograms. It was impossible for a person to hold her and dance alone. But everything in front of them was displayed in front of them. They really saw what it meant to be a swallow on the palm. Zhao Qingwu's mood fluctuated from the initial shock to the final joy to the current carefree mood. After dancing for so many years, she had never been as carefree as she was today. No matter how beautiful her dance was or how difficult her movements were, Qin Haodong could perfectly fit in with her and dance with her gracefully, complementing each other. Zhao Fian had always been her idol. She had also dreamed that one day she could perform the miracle of dancing on the palm, but it had always been a beautiful dream. She did not expect that it would come true today. At this moment she suddenly felt her body become light, and her whole body floated up. 3 meters, 5 meters, and finally flew up to a height of more than 10 meters. Although she was shocked, she had inexplicable trust in the man she had met for the first time. She did not panic at all and still danced in the air. After throwing Zhao Qingwu into the air, amidst everyone's exclamations, Qin Haodong rose into the air and took Zhao Qingwu's slender hand. The two of them spun in the air and stretched out their dancing postures. Dancing with heaven and earth and being in harmony with nature was the highest realm of dancing. Zhao Qingwu did not expect that Qin Haodong could take her to such a high realm. She had never reached such a height before, and now she was completely fascinated. The two of them were like two butterflies slowly flying in the air, slowly falling and finally slowly landing on the ground. Qin Haodong gently held Zhao Feiwu's waist and held her in his arms with one arm. They looked at each other and could hear each other's breath. In this atmosphere and this artistic conception, if they did not kiss each other, they would feel sorry for the audience around them. Kiss, kiss. The onlookers cheered wildly as if at this moment, this was what the two of them should be doing the most. Zhao Feiwu's cheeks were flushed. Through the dance just now, she had been completely smitten by Qin Haodong. She knew that she could never leave this man in this life. Looking at the handsome face in front of her, she slowly closed her eyes and moved her red lips, waiting for that moment to come. Of course, Qin Haodong would not be polite in front of the beauty. He hugged Zhao Qingwu and kissed her passionately. Let go. Let go of me. Yan Zicheng, who was next to him, could no longer control the anger in his heart. Even though he had an engagement with Zhao Qingwu, he had not even held hands with her in the real sense. Today Zhao Qingwu saw Qin Haodong for the first time and they kissed. How could he bear it? He was burning with jealousy. He rushed over desperately and reached out to pull Zhao Qingwu. But before he could touch Zhao Qingwu's arm, Qin Haodong's big foot had kicked him in the lower abdomen. Yan Zicheng, like a kite with a broken string, suddenly flew out and then fell heavily on the lawn. Zhao Qingwu ended her first kiss. Her cheeks were flushed. She looked at Qin Haodong shyly, then turned her head and said to Yan Zicheng, who had just gotten up, "We have nothing to do with each other anymore. From today on, I'm Qin Haodong's woman." Yan Zicheng had just been hit physically and now he was hit mentally. He shouted crazily, "Tis, you tis. You're fickle and ungrateful. Have you forgotten how I used to treat you?" Zhao Qingwu said coldly, "Yan Zicheng, after we got engaged, how many times have you been to the red light district? Do you think I don't know?" Qin Haodong said coldly, "Get out of here, or you won't even have the chance to. Chapter 704. Just you wait. I won't spare you. After saying that, Yan Zicheng got up from the ground and ran out of the door in embarrassment. He did not even have the courage to look back. After he left, the others also knew that it was not suitable for them to stay here anymore, so they also left one after another. 2 minutes later, only Qin Haodong and Zhao Qingwu were left on the huge lawn. The two of them looked at each other affectionately. After a long time, Qin Haodong said, "How is it? I didn't let you down, did I?" Zhao Qingwu gently bit her red lips and said with hatred, "I hate you." Qin Haodong said in surprise, "You hate me? What? I hate you for not appearing earlier. You left me alone for so many years and even got engaged to Yan Zicheng." Qin Haodong reached out and put his arm around her slender waist. "I'm here now. It's not too late. Let's dance again. I'll tell Grandpa later that I won't marry anyone else but you in this life." After that, Zhao Qingwu took Qin Haodong's hand and danced crazily again. In Yan Feifei's room in the Yan family. Yan Feifei slowly opened her eyes and her face was full of disappointment. Although she was full of confidence before breaking through the bottleneck of the holy stage, she still failed in the end. Why couldn't she succeed? She was an extremely competitive woman and had always been eager to break through to the holy stage to prove herself. Suddenly her expression froze. She saw the 2 bottles of pills in front of her, and then she saw the small note under the pills. "It's him. Is he here?" Yan Feifei grabbed the small note in her hand. When she saw the handwriting on it, her whole body began to tremble. It was really him. He had come to see her. After returning from Shinbao Mountain, Yan Feifei had been looking for that person. She wanted to figure out who her man was. Unfortunately, she had too few clues. She only had a few energy-gathering pills, but she didn't find anything useful. As soon as she saw the name on the signature, a smile appeared on her beautiful face. "Dear man, hurry up and appear. Marry me, okay? I'm so anxious." Since he was already here, why didn't he meet her? Why didn't he take her with him? Yan Feifei let her thoughts run wild. She blushed and was stunned for a long time. Then she carefully read the contents of the note. When she saw the problems Qin Haodong listed when breaking through the bottleneck, she couldn't help but be surprised. What was her man's cultivation? He remembered that on the God Treasure Mountain his cultivation was far lower than his, which was why he was pushed down. But now, looking at his understanding of breaking through the bottleneck of the saint stage, he must be above me. Could it be that he has already passed this threshold, or is he a disciple of some big sect, and the seniors have experience of breaking through to the saint stage? That must be it. He must be from some hidden sect, but due to some special reasons, it is inconvenient for him to meet me. Yan Feifei confirmed her thoughts and murmured, "Wait for me. I'll come to you after I break through the bottleneck of the holy stage." After saying that, she threw all the pills in front of her into her mouth and once again began to break through the bottleneck of the saint stage. After a few pills entered her mouth, the true qi in her dantian immediately exploded, rushing to her limbs and bones like an avalanche. Yan Feifei calmed down and guided her genuine qi to break through the bottleneck of the saint stage. At the same time, according to Qin Haodong's instructions, she corrected several mistakes in the process of breaking through. About an hour later, the wind and clouds suddenly surged over the Yan family's manor, and the qi of heaven and earth became violent. Although it was not as powerful as Qin Haodong's on the God Treasure Mountain just now, it was still quite shocking. Moreover, the Yan family's manor was located in the suburbs of the capital, far from the barren mountains like the God Treasure Mountain. The unusual atmosphere in the Yan family immediately caused a sensation in the capital. The 9th-level Supreme Power Masters from the other 6 families rose into the air and rushed over. On the Yan family's side, Yan Fengwu slapped the table and stood up. His expression was full of excitement. The Yan family was finally going to have the first Saint Stage Master in the capital. In order to prevent anyone from destroying Yan Feifei's breakthrough, all the masters of the Yan family came out and blocked all the onlookers. When the people who rushed over saw the strange phenomenon in the Yan family's manor, they all sighed. Could it be that Yan Feifei, who was known as the top master in the capital, was finally going to become a saint? About half an hour later, there was a loud bang in the Yan family's manor. The 2-story building where Yan Feifei lived instantly collapsed and was razed to the ground by the violent qi of heaven and earth. Then the wind and clouds dissipated and everything returned to normal. Then a beautiful figure rose into the air. Her feet rose into the air as if she was stepping on stairs. She glanced at the people around her and said in a cold voice, "I, Yan Feifei, have successfully become a saint. Don't watch anymore. Please go back. After that, a huge momentum suddenly burst out from Yan Feifei's body. Although most of the people present were 9th-level Supreme Power Masters, they were still out of breath and retreated one after another. Fortunately, Yan Feifei just wanted to deter everyone. She withdrew her momentum and then disappeared in the air. Only then did everyone come to their senses. But then they realized what they had seen meant. Yan Feifei had really stepped into the threshold of the Saint Realm. The Yan family was about to rise and soon become the top family in the capital. After confirming that Yan Feifei had successfully broken through the bottleneck of the Saint Realm, everyone immediately flew away and rushed back to report to their families. For a moment, the whole capital was in chaos. It was said that Qin Zongheng had entered the threshold of the Saint Realm, but it was just a flash and then disappeared. Yan Feifei, who was in front of everyone, was alive. Compared with the 9th-level Supreme Power Masters of the Tang sect, the saints of the Yan family were naturally more terrifying. In front of the powerful saints, they were not much stronger than ants. Therefore, the moment Yan Feifei broke through the bottleneck of the Saint Realm, the whole capital changed. No wonder the Yan family didn't go to the Tang sect to express their goodwill. It turns out that they have the confidence. It's great. I heard that Qin Haodong took away Yan Zicheng's woman. I'm afraid the Yan family won't let it go. Things have changed. In the future, the capital will belong to the Yan family. There will no longer be 7 top families, but the Yan family will be the only one. For a time, all the aristocratic families in the imperial capital began to panic, and they all tried to find a way out and countermeasures for the families they belonged to. In the Zhao family, Zhao Qingwu stood in front of Zhao Zhangqiong and said shyly, "Grandpa Haodong and I love each other now. I'm willing to marry him and he's also willing to marry me." After hearing his granddaughter's words, Zhao Zhangqiong laughed and said, "Good girl, our Zhao family will count on you in the future." But before he finished speaking, Zhao Zhanghai and Zhao Zhangtian rushed in from outside. "Master, something bad has happened. Just now, Yan Feifei broke through the bottleneck of the Saint Realm and became the first saint among the 7 great families in the capital." Although it was said that Qin Zongheng was at the Saint Realm, everyone had only seen it and did not get the final confirmation, so Zhao Zhangtian automatically ignored it at this time. What? Zhao Zhangqiong was shocked by the news. The teacup in his hand fell to the ground and broke into pieces. He had been trying his best to please Qin Haodong and even did not hesitate to break off the engagement with the Yan family. But he did not expect that the situation would change so quickly. There was actually a saint in the Yan family. Things changed so fast that it was really beyond his expectation. In his original plan, even if the Yan family vented their anger on him after breaking off the engagement, they would not be able to do anything to the Zhao family, because the strength of the 2 families was about the same. But now the whole situation had changed. Qin Haodong had a saint and it was only a matter of time for him to destroy the Zhao family. He calmed himself down and said to the 2 of them, "Are you sure that Yan Feifei is now a saint? It can't be hearsay, right?" Zhao Zhanghai said, "We just saw it with our own eyes. Yan Feifei not only showed the unique ability of the Saint Realm, but also let us feel her great pressure. This is absolutely true. Yan Feifei is a real saint and she is really too powerful." He still had a lingering fear when he thought of the great power that Yan Feifei had just shown. After confirming the news again, Zhao Zhangtian sat on the sofa dejectedly. After a moment of silence, he said to the 2 elders, "We just broke off the engagement with the Yan family, and now there is a saint in the Yan family. What do you think we should do?" Zhao Zhangtian said, "Now we can only break off the engagement with the Tang sect and send Qingwu to the Yan family. They will deal with her as they see fit. I hope they can give us a way out for the sake of the marriage alliance. Otherwise, the Zhao family will really be finished this time." Zhao Zhanghai said, "Yes, we really have no ability to resist in the face of a saint." Hearing that the 2 were going to send her to the Yan family for a marriage alliance, Zhao Qingwu suddenly turned pale and exclaimed, "No, I won't marry into the Yan family this time no matter what." Zhao Zhangtian said coldly, "Do you want to see our Zhao family destroyed?" Zhao Zhanghai sighed and said, "Girl, it's not that we don't care about your feelings, but this time the situation is special. If we can't win the forgiveness of the Yan family, our Zhao family will be completely finished this time." "No, I don't care." Zhao Qingwu cried crazily, "Haodong and I love each other. I won't marry anyone else in this life. I won't marry anyone else." Zhao Zhangtian snorted coldly and said, "You don't know how terrible a saint is. If you offend the Yan family, I'm afraid that the Tang sect will no longer exist tomorrow. Who will you marry then?" Zhao Zhangqiong came to his senses and hesitated for a moment before saying, "That's the only way. I'll go to the Tang sect now to break off the engagement. No, I can't break off the engagement. I'm Qin Haodong's woman when I'm alive and I'll be Qin Haodong's ghost when I die. I'll never marry again in this life. Zhao Sanxiong's face darkened and he said, how can you, a woman, interfere in the family's affairs? After that, he waved his hand and called 2 servants over. Take the young lady away and keep a close eye on her. She's not allowed to leave the room without my order. Grandpa, you can't do this. What else did Zhao Qingwu want to say? However, Zhao Zhangqiong had already strode out of the living room. He called a few family members and hurried to the Tang sect. Now he could only hope to break off the engagement with the Tang sect as soon as possible and make a statement so that he could get the Yin family's forgiveness. In the Wei family, Wei Junce had been in a good mood these 2 days. His granddaughter Yanran had successfully moved into the Tang sect and the marriage had been settled. But when he heard that Yin Feifei had entered the holy stage, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. In particular, Wei Junquo sent the news that Qin Haodong had just beaten Yin Zicheng in the number 5 mansion and snatched Zhao Qinggu away, which made him a great enemy of the Yin family. He was so scared that his face turned pale. It seemed that the Tang sect would not be able to escape this time. Under the anger of a saint, Qin Haodong would definitely die without a burial place. Now what he had to do was not to be blamed by the Yin family and get rid of his relationship with the Tang sect. After a little hesitation, he immediately shouted to his family, hurry up and prepare a car for me. I'll go to the Tang sect now to break off the engagement and bring Yanran back. Chapter 705. In the Han family, after receiving the news that Yin Feifei had become a saint, Han Wuji, the head of the family, made a prompt decision and immediately led his people to the Tang sect. There was only one purpose, which was to break off the engagement and cut ties with the Tang sect. In the Qi family, after receiving the news that Yin Feifei had become a sage, Qi Guofan, the head of the family, immediately called several core members together to discuss how to deal with it. What do you guys think we should do now? Qi Yulong said anxiously, Patriarch, what are we waiting for? We have to bring Wan back as soon as possible. Otherwise, not only will Wan lose her life, our Qi family will also be implicated. As Qi Wan's father, he was naturally worried about his daughter's safety. Qi Yuhu said, yes, Qin Haodong just took Yin Zicheng's woman and offended the whole Yin family. Yin Feifei has hated the Qin family for many years. Now that they know that Qin Haodong is Qin Zongheng's son, I'm afraid that they will immediately kill him. The Tang sect is completely finished. Qi Guofan said hesitantly, but Wan is very stubborn. It's impossible for her to come back with us. Qi Yulong shouted, this is a matter of life and death, we can't let her be willful anymore. Even if we have to tie her up, we have to tie her up and bring her back. Alright then, let's go to the Tang sect now. Qi Guofan hesitated for a moment, but in the end he still decided to go to the Tang sect. In the Yin family, Yin Zicheng ran back with a face full of dust. As soon as he entered the house, he saw that everyone in the family was happy, and their faces were full of joy, as if they had just celebrated the spring festival, which made him very surprised. At this time he happened to meet Yen Zixiao. He stepped forward and asked, Big brother, what happened? Is there any good news in our family? Zicheng, you still don't know, right? Just now, our aunt Yin Feifei broke through the bottleneck of the saint realm. Now she's already a saint. In the future, our Yin family will be the #1 family in the capital. What? You finally succeeded? Hearing the news, Yin Zicheng jumped up in excitement. Then he shouted with a ferocious face, Qin Haodong, just you wait. I'll kill you. As he spoke, he hurriedly ran into the manor. In the hall of the Yin family, Yin Feifei was sitting in the middle. At this point, the family master was not as noble as her. Yin Fengwu and the people of the Yin family surrounded Yin Feifei like stars surrounding the moon. Feifei, congratulations on officially stepping into the ranks of saints. This is the fortune of our Yin family. I've long known that Feifei has been extraordinary since she was young. She will definitely achieve great things in the future. With Feifei supporting our Yin family, we will be the #1 family in the capital in the future. Yin Feifei's reaction was much calmer than the others. At this time, she did not have too many thoughts in her heart. Her dream had always been to break through to the saint level, but now that her dream had come true, she felt that she had lost her direction after the joy. She only had one thought now, and that was to find that good man as soon as possible. As a woman, she had to find her own love in life. At this moment, Yin Zicheng ran in hurriedly. Seeing his embarrassed look, Yin Fengwu frowned and asked, Zicheng, what are you doing? How did you end up like this? Grandpa, Auntie, you have to give me justice. Yan Zicheng was like a drama queen. He cried and told them how Qin Haodong had bullied him in the number 5 mansion and how he had taken Zhao Qingwu away. Finally he said, Grandpa, this Qin guy is too arrogant. He doesn't take our Yan family seriously at all. After hearing this, Yan Fengwu's face changed greatly and he said angrily, this Qin Haodong is really outrageous. Does he really think that no one in the capital can deal with him? If it had been an hour ago, he would definitely have reprimanded Yan Zicheng severely. But now it was different. The Yan family had a big backer and they already had the unique master of the Saint Realm in the capital. In his opinion, the Yan family would be the supreme existence in the capital in the future, and the current Tang sect could be used as a sacrifice. Yan Feifei asked, who is this Qin Haodong? Yan Zicheng quickly said, Aunt, you still don't know. He is Qin Zongheng's son, but he is much more arrogant than Qin Zongheng. After returning to the capital, he relied on his cultivation of the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm to bully the big families and collect beautiful women. Now he has taken away Qi Wan from the Qi family and Wei Yanran from the Wei family. Today he wanted to attack my fiancée Zhao Qingwu. I went forward to stop him but he beat me up like this. And you have to help me no matter what. Yan Feifei frowned. Ever since she had her own man, she had completely let go of the grudge with Qin Zongheng. It did not matter whether he was Qin Zongheng's son or not. However, she still hated this kind of bullying behavior, especially when this person had bullied the Yan family. She asked, although the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm is powerful, each of the 7 great families has 2 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm. How could they bully the big families like this? Yan Fengwu said, Feifei, you don't know that a lot of things have happened in the capital while you were in seclusion? Qin Zongheng has not only reached the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm, but he also has 4 extremely powerful women with him. All of them are at the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm. In the face of such strength, the big families naturally dare not say anything. Yan Zicheng also cried out pitifully, Aunt, you know about my engagement with Qingwu. You also attended the engagement party at that time, but Qin Haodong, the villain, forcibly broke us up. You must avenge me. He was not worried about Zhao Qingwu's attitude at all. As long as he killed Qin Haodong with the current power of the Yan family, he would not be worried that the Zhao family would not agree to this marriage. He was afraid that he could not wait to send Zhao Qingwu to his bed immediately. How could there be such a thing? Yan Feifei had never been a good-tempered person. She hated bullying people to the extreme and she could not tolerate it when it came to the Yan family. She said with a murderous look, where is Qin Haodong? Take me there immediately. How dare he bully the people of our Yan family? I want to see how many heads he has. That's great, Aunt. I'll take you there now. Yan Zicheng agreed and turned his head to lead the way. He rushed to the Tang sect with Yan Feifei excitedly. Yan Fengwu gathered all the people of the Yan family and followed closely behind. Destroying the Tang sect was a chance for the Yan family to prove themselves. After today's battle, the Yan family would be above the other 6 families. In order to make a bigger scene, Yan Fengwu did not use a car. Instead he took everyone on foot and rushed to the Tang sect in a mighty manner. In the Chu family, Chu Shanhe sat in the seat of the family master with a gloomy face. His family had just eased the relationship with his grandson, but Yan Feifei had actually reached the Saint Realm. What should he do next? This was also a test for his family. He glanced at the crowd below the stage and said in a low voice, Everyone tell me, what should our Chu family do now that Yan Feifei has become a saint? Chu Xianming shouted excitedly, Master, there's no need to hesitate. Qin Haodong will definitely die now. What our Chu family needs to do is to cut off our relationship with them and not be implicated by the Yan family. He had been defeated by Qin Haodong many times. Now that he heard that the Tang sect was in trouble, he wanted to set off firecrackers to celebrate. He was very happy. Chu Shanhe frowned and said, Isn't it a little too hasty for us to do this? No matter what, Qin Haodong has the blood of our Chu family. Chu Xianming cried, Master, the Yan family now has a saint. Everyone knows how terrible the strength of a saint is. Yan Feifei has always hated the Qin family to the bone. Moreover, this time, Qin Haodong has taken Zhao Qingwu away in a domineering manner. The Yan family will definitely not let it go. Killing him will be a light punishment. I'm afraid that the Tang sect will be razed to ruins. In the face of this situation, our Chu family naturally has to protect ourselves and hide as far away as possible. Jin Xiaoying had been sitting next to him. She did not know much about martial arts, but after listening to her youngest son's words, she understood the current situation of the Tang sect. She immediately shouted excitedly, "That's great. This arrogant little bastard also has such a day. I asked him to go back to the Chu family but he refused. Now he deserves to be killed." Speaking up to here, she shouted to the new housekeeper, "Hurry up and inform the kitchen to make a few more good dishes. Our Chu family needs to have a good celebration. After killing this little bastard, I can live for a few more years." Chu Xuanli frowned and said, "Mom, how can you do this? After all, Xianyue is your daughter and Haodong is also your grandson." Jin Xiaoying cried, "I only have grandchildren in my life. I don't have any grandchildren. As for that unfilial daughter, I don't want her." Chu Xuanli shook his head. He could do nothing about this stubborn mother. Jin Xiaoying shouted again, "Don't worry about me. Call Mingli back. When you sent him to Qin Haodong's place, I didn't agree. Now he might lose his life with him. Call my grandson back quickly." Chu Xinming also said, "Yes, big brother, call the two children back. Otherwise, Yin Feifei may really kill them in a fit of anger." As he spoke, he secretly rejoiced in his heart. Fortunately, Qin Haodong had not agreed to accept his two children into the Tang sect. Otherwise he might have lost his life at any time. "No?" Chu Xuanli said, "Although we are reasonable and wise, Hui is a descendant of our Chu family, but they've already joined the Tang sect, so they should live and die with the Tang sect. There's no reason for them to run away." Jin Xiaoying said angrily, "Boss, is your head rusty? Do you want our Chu family's descendants to die with that bastard surnamed Qin?" Chu Xuanli said stubbornly, "Life and death are up to fate. Whether it's a blessing or a curse, it's their own blessing. Anyway, we can't call them back." "You're crazy." Jin Xiaoying turned to look at Chu Xianming and said, "Second brother, go to the Tang sect now. No matter what, you must bring Mingli back." Chu Xianming was very willing to go to the Tang sect to watch the fun and see how Qin Haodong would die in the hands of Yin Feifei. However, this kind of important matter had to be decided by the family master. He turned to look at Chu Shanhe, who was silent. Chu Shanhe sighed and said, "Go ahead." These two simple words made the final decision. The Chu family was going to break off their relationship with the Tang sect. Then he said, "Be smart when you go there. Don't intensify the conflict. Before Yin Feifei destroys the Tang sect, we can't afford to provoke Qin Haodong." "I know, family master." Chu Xianming turned around and walked out happily. Chu Xuanli did not stop him. He knew that even if the Chu family sent people there, Chu Mingli and Hui would not be able to return to the Chu family at this time. With Chu Mingli and Hui's personality, it was impossible for them to return to the Chu family at this time. In the Qin family, Qin Zhanao was sitting in the main seat. Qin Zhanlong, who was bald, was sitting next to him. There was also another level 9 Supreme Power Master, Qin Zhanfeng. Qin Zhanao said, "I just got the news that the Yin family has already taken action and is about to take action against them. What do you think?" Qin Feiyang cried, "Father, Haodong is Zongheng's son after all. Now that they are in trouble, we should go and help them." 10 chapters of Happy Birthday Update. Please come to Zongheng for monthly tickets. You can't receive black beer on other websites. Red packets are the most welcome. Thank you for your support. Chapter 706. Qin Feiyu sneered and said, "Qin Feiyang, do you know what you're talking about? Yin Feifei is now a master at the Saint Realm. Do you want our family to perish together with the Tang sect?" Qin Feiyang said anxiously, but Qin Zhanlong interrupted him and said, "No buts. Everything is for the sake of the family. Since Qin Haodong doesn't agree to join our Qin family, he has nothing to do with us. Now we must get rid of him, or we will be angry with the Yin family. At that time, we won't be able to bear the anger of a saint." Qin Feiyang still wanted to say something, but he was stopped by Qin Zhanlong. "Feiyang, I know how you feel, but our Qin family really can't help you in this matter. Even if we go, what can we do? Even if our whole Qin family fights, we can't withstand the anger of a saint. Moreover, because of Yin Feifei's escape from the marriage, she has always been dissatisfied with our family. It's good enough that she didn't come to make trouble for us at this time. If we are careless, our whole family will be destroyed." Well, although Qin Feiyang was anxious, he knew that Qin Zhanlong was telling the truth. He fell silent for a while. Strength determines everything. The Yin family has a Saint Realm master, so they have great strength now. They can decide the fate of other families, and our Qin family can't sit still and wait for death. Qin Zhanao said as he took out a small jade bottle from his arms. "This is the Saint Elixir I bought at the auction. According to the seller, This elixir can increase the possibility of a level 9 Supreme Power Master reaching the Saint Realm by 50%. The Energy Gathering Elixir and Spirit Culturing Elixir from the auction have all been taken by the martial artists of our family. The effect is very, very good. I don't know who made these elixirs, but they are comparable to immortal elixirs. He looked up at the two level 9 Supreme Power Masters, Qin Zhanlong and Qin Zhanfeng. It can be inferred that the effect of this Saint Elixir will not be bad. I wonder who has the courage to try it? After returning from the auction, he did not take out this Saint Elixir. At that time, there were only 2 level 9 Supreme Power Masters in each family. He did not want to take this risk. But now the situation had changed greatly. The Yin family, which had always been at odds with the Qin family, had a saint. If they did not find a way as soon as possible, the Qin family would be next after the destruction of the Tang sect. After he finished speaking, there was a moment of silence. Qin Zhanlong and Qin Zhanfeng both stared at the saint pill in front of them. This kind of pill had never appeared before and no one knew how effective it was. Eating it could allow one to become a saint, but it could also cause one to suffer from qi deviation and be consigned to eternal damnation. After a minute of silence, Qin Zhanlong gritted his teeth and said, "Master, I'm willing to give it a try." He was the great elder of the Qin clan and was also the oldest. If he could not break through to the saint level, even if the Yin clan did not come looking for trouble, he could only live for about 10 more years. When he thought of this, he decided to give it his all. Firstly, it was for the Qin clan. Secondly, it was worth it to sacrifice 10 years of his life. Once he broke through to the saint plane, he would have at least 50 years to live. That's good. From now on, the fate of our family is in your hands. Qin Zhanao handed the saint pill to Qin Zhanlong. At the same time, he sighed in his heart. If he hadn't forced Qin Zongheng to leave back then, the Qin family wouldn't have fallen into the current predicament. Qin Chong had been listening. At this moment, his heart was filled with hatred. He didn't care about the future of the Qin family. He only cared about whether the Tang sect would be destroyed by Yan Feifei. After the meeting of the Qin family, he immediately rushed out of the house. He wanted to see how Qin Haodong would be killed by Yan Feifei with his own eyes. After Qin Haodong parted ways with Zhao Qingwu and returned to the Tang sect, he saw Ma Wenjue waiting in front of his door with Kim Ji-hyun's help. Ma Wenjue's face was pale and he was in low spirits. On the contrary, Kim Ji-hyun, who had just been seriously injured, had a ruddy face. She was like a different person from when she had just been brought back. How much blood did this guy lose to her? He wouldn't drain himself dry, would he? It seemed that this guy was really desperate to save the damsel in distress. However, when the two of them stood together, they really looked like a good match. After seeing Qin Haodong, Kim Ji-hyun knelt on the ground and said, "Mr. Qin, I beg you to avenge me. As long as you can avenge our Kim family, I will do anything to repay your kindness." Qin Haodong glanced at her and said faintly, "The reason why I saved you this time is that we've known each other before. As for your family, I have nothing to do with you, and I have no reason to avenge you." Kim Ji-hyun said with tears in her eyes, "Mr. Qin, more than a dozen members of my family were killed. Please, only you can avenge me now." Ma Wenjue also said, "That's right, Haodong. Look at how pitiful Ji-hyun is. Please help her." Qin Haodong's face was still calm, but he secretly shook his head in his heart. His best friend had fallen so quickly. He said, "Since Wenjue is speaking for you, then tell me what happened to your family? I'll see what happens." "It's all because of that bastard Kim Tonghai." Kim Ji-hyun gnashed her teeth and said, "Kim Tonghai was originally a distant branch of our Kim family, but he was smart and good at making others happy, so he won the trust of my grandfather and let him join the core of the Kim family. Once, my grandfather accidentally told me that he had a treasure map when he was drunk. He kept it in mind and secretly told this news to Cha Tae-hang, the boxing saint of South Korea. From Cha Tae-hang he got a great deal of benefits. Cha Tae-hang coveted our family's treasure map, so he suddenly killed more than a dozen members of our Kim family. My grandfather and father risked their lives to protect me and escape. The black tortoise jade pendant you gave me blocked Kim Tonghai's fatal blow, so I escaped to Wuxia. I know you are a master, and only you have the hope to avenge our Kim family, so I rushed to the capital to find you. I didn't expect that I would be intercepted by Kim Tonghai and then saved by you. When Qin Haodong was in Shanghai, he knew that Kim Ji-hyun would have a bloody disaster, so he gave her the black tortoise jade pendant and finally saved her life. Who is Cha Tae-hang, the boxing saint? Cha Tae-hang is the only saint-level master in our country, and he is known as the boxing saint. A saint-level master? Qin Haodong frowned and asked, with Cha Tae-hang's cultivation, I'm afraid he won't covet your family's treasure map, right? It's said that our Kim family's treasure map is related to an ancient site. If we can find that treasure, we are likely to become a peerless master, so Cha Taehang is greedy. Qin Haodong's heart skipped a beat and he said, an ancient site? Then why doesn't your family look for the treasure? Kim Ji-hyun said, the treasure map is very strange and not particularly detailed. My grandfather did try several times, but unfortunately he didn't find the location of the treasure. Qin Haodong said, this is an internal dispute of your country. As a Wuxia person, it's not convenient for me to get involved. As a friend, I can let you live here to avoid Cha Taehang's pursuit, but forget about revenge. Mr. Qin, you can't ignore it. You're my only hope for revenge. Qin Haodong said, but you also said that Cha Taehang is a saint-level master, and I'm just a 9th-level supreme power master. Even if I want to help you, I can't. Let's stop this matter. But you're already a 9th-level supreme power master at the age of 20. I believe that you will definitely become a saint in the future, and you will definitely have the strength to help our Kim family get revenge. Kim Ji-hyun's eyes flashed with hatred as she said, as long as you can help our Kim family get revenge, I'll be yours. You can do whatever you want and I'll give you the treasure map. Seeing Ma Wenjua's murderous eyes, Qin Haodong quickly said, forget about me. Just give me the treasure map. He had used up all the upper-level spirit stones in the 12 zodiac, but his cultivation had just reached the early stage of the Yuaning realm. If he wanted to improve further, he would need more upper-level spirit stones. If this treasure map really showed an ancient site, it was very likely that he would find opportunities to improve his cultivation, and even more upper-level spirit stones. Kim Ji-hyun did not hesitate at all. If she could not get revenge, it would be useless to keep the treasure map. She took off the 2 10-centimeter high heels on her feet, then grabbed the heels and turned them hard. It turned out that the heels were alive. After opening them, there was a hollow hole inside. She took out a roll of yellow parchment from each heel, and put them together to form a map. Qin Haodong took the map and looked at it. It was exuding strong spiritual qi. It was indeed something left behind from ancient times. It could be seen that this map was not a fake forged by later generations. However, after looking at it for a long time, he still could not figure out what this place was. He rolled up the map and said, I want this map and I can promise to help you get revenge, but you can't be in a hurry. I can only do it when the right time is right. Although it was not difficult for him to kill Cha Taehang with his current cultivation, he did not want to expose his cultivation now, so he could only wait. Okay, I can wait. Kim Ji-hyun was not completely blinded by hatred and nodded in agreement. At this moment, Qin Haodong and Ma Wenjua suddenly raised their heads and looked in the direction of the Yen family's manor. They felt the changes of heaven and earth brought about by Yen Feifei's breakthrough. Ma Wenjua was shocked. What's going on? Could it be that someone has transcended mortality and entered sainthood? Maybe. A faint smile appeared on the corner of Qin Haodong's mouth. It seemed that his elixir was effective. Yen Feifei had indeed made a breakthrough. Chu Mingli and Chu Ming didn't have much time. Hui hurriedly ran over. Chu Mingli said anxiously, Haodong, something bad has happened. Just now, my father said that Yen Feifei has reached the Saint Realm and is coming here with the Yen family. It seems that they are here to make trouble for you. Before Qin Haodong could speak, Qi Wan'er, Wei Yanran, Feng Wu and the others also rushed over. They had all heard the news that Yen Feifei had entered the Saint Realm through their own channels. Chu Xianyue was also a supreme power expert. When she heard the news, she immediately panicked. She took Qin Haodong's hand and said, Son, why don't you hide quickly? Yen Feifei originally hated us because of your father. Now that she has become a saint, she will definitely kill you when she comes. Why don't you go out and hide first? Let me deal with this. Qin Haodong frowned. He had just thought about helping Yen Feifei break through and did not think so much. Now it seemed that it was really a little troublesome. It was very easy to deal with Yen Feifei. The difficult part was how to make his mother accept this marriage. Feng Wu still did not know the news of his breakthrough. Seeing his serious expression, she thought that he was worried about how to deal with Yen Feifei. She stepped forward and said, Do you want me to invite Master? Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, No need. I can solve it myself. Chu Xianyue said anxiously, Son, what are you going to solve? Run quickly or it will be too late later. Qin Haodong said, I can handle this matter, but Mom, you have to promise me one thing. Chu Xianyue said, What time is it? 1 or 2 conditions. As long as you are safe, I will promise you anything. Chapter 707. Qin Haodong smiled slyly. He took Chu Xuanyua's hand and said, "Mom, this is what you said. You have to promise me whatever I say later." "I agree. Agree. I'll agree to anything you say." Chu Xuanyua said anxiously, "Go quickly. Yin Feifei will be here soon." After Qin Zongheng ran away from the marriage, Yin Feifei kept shouting that she wanted revenge. Chu Xuanyua naturally knew this very well. "When did I say I was leaving?" Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Such a small thing can't scare your son away." The people of the Yin family surrounded Yin Feifei and rushed to the Tang sect. Yin Zicheng took the lead and acted as a guide. The Han family, Wei family, Zhao family, and Qi family were originally here to break off the engagement, but unfortunately they were a step too late. They could only follow behind the Yin family and watch from afar, waiting to act according to the situation. As for Chu Xianming from the Chu family, he had come to watch the fun. As for Chu Mingli and Chu Ming, he did not care about Huey's life or death at all. She was not his child anyway. Qin Chong was far behind the crowd. He didn't want to do anything here. He just wanted to see how Qin Haodong would be killed by Yin Feifei. A group of people arrived in front of the Tang gate. Yin Zicheng pointed at the magnificent gate and shouted, "Aunt, this is Qin Haodong's lair." Yin Fengwu was full of vigor now that he had the support of a saint-level master. He waved his hand to his subordinates and said, "Tear down this gate." The people of the Yin family agreed and were about to take action when Yin Feifei suddenly raised her hand and shouted, "Wait a minute." She was now the supreme existence of the Yin family, and her words were even more effective than the patriarch's. After hearing her order, everyone immediately stopped. Yin Fengwu turned his head to look. He didn't know what his daughter wanted to do. Could it be that she still had to be polite in the Tang sect? At this time, Yin Feifei looked up at the plaque on the gate with an excited expression. The surrounding people were all puzzled. This sign was indeed very beautifully written. The two large words, Tang sect, were written in bold calligraphy. It was very imposing. But Yin Feifei was a saint-level master now. She wouldn't be scared by two words, would she? Of course, Yin Feifei was not frightened. When she saw the two words, she immediately had a very familiar feeling. The font was exactly the same as the one on her note. After a short period of absent-mindedness, she quickly took out the two notes that Qin Haodong had left for her from her pocket and carefully compared them with the two words on the plaque. Was him. It's really him. The words on the plaque were exactly the same as the words on the note. Yin Feifei was sure that the words Tang sect were written by her man. At this moment, the security guards of the Daddy Security Company in front of the door rushed out together. Although they were facing a strong enemy, these people were experienced soldiers who had faced countless life-and-death situations. Naturally, they would not retreat. Yin Feifei put away the note and moved slightly. In an instant, she appeared in front of a security guard. She grabbed his collar and asked eagerly, "Tell me who wrote the words on this plaque?" This security guard was also an expert at the second level of the Supreme Power Realm, but he didn't even have the courage to resist Yin Feifei. Under the powerful momentum, the genuine qi in his body seemed to be suppressed and stopped running. After hearing Yin Feifei's question, he felt that it was not a secret and said, "This was written by our boss." "Who is your boss?" Yin Feifei became more and more excited and even her voice was trembling. Her man was finally going to appear. The security guard said, "Our boss is the owner of the Tang sect, Qin Haodong." Hearing this name, Yin Feifei suddenly felt as if she had been struck by lightning and she was stunned. She had never expected that the person she had been thinking about day and night would be Qin Zongheng's son. How could this be? Could it be that the heavens were playing a joke on him? The others around were all confused. They didn't know what Yin Feifei was doing. Weren't they here to seek revenge? Weren't they here to destroy the Tang sect? Why were they interested in the two words on the door? At this moment, Qin Haodong came out with the people of the Tang sect. Behind him were Nailan Wushuang, Hu Shaoxian and the other women, as well as nearly 100 members of the Tang sect. Although the enemy was in front of them, these people looked calm and did not panic at all as everyone had imagined. When he walked to the door, Qin Haodong glanced at the people gathered around. It seemed that all the 7 great families had participated in today's matter and each family had sent members. He naturally understood what these people meant. As the saying goes, when a wall is down, everyone will give it a push. Unfortunately, they would be disappointed this time. His wall had not collapsed and it would not collapse in the future. Seeing that Qi Weiner and Wei Yanran were also on the Tang sect's side, Qi Guofan and Wei Junce winked at them, trying to tell them to leave them and come to their families. However, the two girls stood firmly behind Qin Haodong as if they did not see it. Qin Haodong naturally saw these people's little tricks, but he did not care. He took 2 steps forward and said to Yen Fengwu, who was the first to bear the brunt, "Master Yen, why did you bring so many people to the Tang sect?" Well, Yen Fengwu was also confused. He could not figure out what Yen Feifei was thinking, so he could not help turning his head to look aside. Yen Feifei pushed the security guard away. The moment she saw Qin Haodong, his handsome face combined with the vague face in her memory and became clearer and clearer. That's him. He's my man. Yen Feifei's cheeks were flushed. Hong, looking excited, stepped toward Qin Haodong. Is Yen Feifei finally going to make a move? How many moves do you think Qin Haodong can take from her? How many moves can he take? I don't think he can take even one move. No matter how powerful Qin Haodong is, he is only a 9th-level Supreme Power Master. Yen Feifei is a saint. It's over. The Tang sect is completely finished, some people who were standing far away whispered. As the distance between the two of them got closer and closer, many people's hearts were in their mouths. Chu Xianming, Qin Chong and the others clenched their fists excitedly and prayed in their hearts. Kill him. We must kill him. The masters of the other great families sighed. It seemed that no matter how strong Qin Haodong was, he was just a flash in the pan. From today on he would have to put an end to it. Yen Feifei walked in front of Qin Haodong and stopped. Looking at her excited expression, Qin Haodong realized that this woman had finally recognized him. Sure enough, Yen Feifei asked excitedly, "Are you a good man?" As soon as this sentence came out, the glasses of the people around him shattered and fell to the ground. Everyone present was struck by lightning. Shouldn't the battle between two great masters be a thunderous blow? Shouldn't it be a storm? What the hell was a good man? What surprised them even more happened. Qin Haodong smiled and nodded. Then Yen Feifei threw herself into his arms like a swallow returning to its nest. The two of them hugged each other tightly. This time, everyone was dumbfounded. Their fragile hearts were trampled by the galloping grass mud horses. The masters of the 7 great families were dumbfounded. The people of the Yen family were dumbfounded. Chu Xianming and Qin Chong were also dumbfounded. The story did not develop according to their expectations at all. What was going on? Weren't they here to destroy the Tang sect this time? Weren't they here to take revenge on the Tang sect? Why did she throw herself into his arms when she came here? How could they fight this battle? Not only them but everyone in the Tang sect was also dumbfounded, especially Chu Xianyue. Even if she dreamed every day, it was impossible for her to dream that Yen Feifei and her son were hugging each other. What were they doing? She raised her hand and pinched her cheek. There was a sharp pain and she was sure that everything in front of her was real. Yen Feifei and Qin Haodong were hugging each other. Everyone else seemed to be petrified and no one spoke. The air around them became extremely heavy and time seemed to have stopped. As the saying went, no one knew a daughter better than her father. Yen Fengwu knew his daughter very well. She had been arrogant since she was a child and she did not care about ordinary men at all. Now she threw herself into the arms of a man when they met, which could only mean one thing. Thinking of this, his heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Qin Haodong was the man Yen Feifei mentioned? As time went by, Yen Feifei slowly calmed down. She immediately understood why Qin Haodong only gave her pills but did not meet her. Their identities were indeed a little awkward. But at this moment she could not care too much. Qin Zongheng had become a thing of the past. Moreover, the two of them only had a formal engagement and did not have any substantial contact. No matter what, she had to be with the man in front of her. She raised her head, looked at Qin Haodong and said, "Are you willing to have me?" Qin Haodong said, "Of course. You are my woman. You can't run away from me in this life." Yen Feifei said hesitantly, "Aren't you afraid that your mother will object?" "It doesn't matter. My mother has already promised me." Qin Haodong glanced in Chu Xuanyue's direction as he spoke. He also winked at his mother and made a face at her. Only then did Chu Xianyue realize that she had just fallen into her son's trap. But now that things had come to this point, she could not object. Finally she changed her mind. If Yen Feifei and Qin Haodong were together, she would be twice as long as Yen Feifei. This result was not bad. Thinking of this, she was much happier. The two of them were known as the twin flowers of the capital. In the end, Yen Feifei became her daughter-in-law. No matter how she looked at it, she had taken advantage of it. Seeing that Chu Xianyue did not object, Yen Feifei took Qin Haodong's arm and turned to the Yen family and said, "From today on, I'm Qin Haodong's woman, which means I'm a member of the Tang sect." With a bang, everyone present was in chaos. These people had just been petrified but they were at a loss because of the news. Yen Fengwu's old face, which had been smiling like a flower, instantly turned cold. The Yen family had been looking forward to having a saint-level master, but in the blink of an eye, she had become someone else's woman. The gap was too big. Moreover, once Yen Feifei left the Yen family, there would only be a 9th-level Supreme Power Realm Master left. How could they survive in the capital in the future? The masters of the Han family, the Wei family, the Zhao family, and the Qi family were shocked at first, and then they breathed a sigh of relief. The current situation had been reversed in a way that no one could have imagined. Not only was the Tang sect not destroyed, but there was another saint-level master, which was even more powerful than before. Fortunately, the Yin family was ahead of them. If they had broken off the engagement first and completely offended the Tang sect, the consequences would have been unimaginable. When Chu Mingli and Qin Chong came to their senses, they could not help but gnash their teeth with hatred. They had originally wanted to see how Qin Haodong would die, but in the end not only did he not die, but he also won the beauty and strengthened the Tang sect. This made them envious and jealous. Yen Zicheng was completely dumbfounded. Originally he had brought his aunt to avenge him, but now his aunt had been killed. Until now, his heart had collapsed and he did not understand what had happened. At this moment, Yen Feifei waved to him and shouted, "Come here and call me uncle." Chapter 709. B** There are no rules at all. As soon as he finished speaking, Jin Xiuing roared angrily, "Yen Feifei was once engaged to Qin Zongheng. Now this bastard is with Yen Feifei. Where are the rules of the ancestors? Is Chu Shenhua crazy? How could she agree to such a thing? People like him who have no rules will never be allowed to enter our Chu family." Everyone in the Chu family looked at each other in silence. They really didn't know what this old lady was thinking. She made it seem as if the Tang sect wanted to curry favor with the Chu family. Now the Chu family couldn't invite them even if they wanted to. Chu Xuanli said, "Mother, you can't say that." Although Yen Feifei was engaged to Qin Zongheng did not agree and ran away on the day of the wedding. From this point of view, Yen Feifei has nothing to do with Qin Haodong. Why can't they fall in love freely? That won't do. Jin Xiuing was about to publicize her old rules when Chu Shanhe said with a sullen face, "Enough, don't mention this again. In the future, no one in the Chu family is allowed to provoke the Tang sect and no one is allowed to disrespect Qin Haodong. Otherwise they will be punished according to the family rules." The Jin Xiuing was extremely annoyed. She felt that Chu Shanhe's words were aimed at her. But before she could say anything, Chu Shanchuan said coldly, "Remember, from today on, if you are dissatisfied with Qin Haodong, you have to endure it. If you bring disaster to the Chu family, I will be the first to punish you." After returning to the Tang sect, Qin Haodong introduced Yen Feifei to everyone. All the women welcomed this new member. Only Chu Shenhua was not used to it at first, but as time went by, the two of them slowly eased up. Yen Feifei had successfully broken through the bottleneck of the Saint Realm, but the women of the Tang sect had not made any moves. Qin Haodong couldn't help but feel a little anxious. It seemed that compared with Yen Feifei, these people's foundation was still a little worse. In order to speed up everyone's cultivation, he took out a large number of medium-level spirit stones from the storage ring and set up a spirit-gathering formation in the entire Tang sect. After this arrangement, the spiritual qi of the Tang sect was even stronger than that of Shinbao Mountain. The cultivation speed of the entire Tang sect had been greatly improved. It was almost midnight when he finished all these things. Qin Haodong stepped into Qi Wan-er's room. Ever since he snatched this little girl back, the two of them hadn't had any intimate contact. Qi Wan-er was still the same as before. As soon as Qin Haodong entered the door, she threw him on the bed. Then the two of them fought fiercely. After a long time, both of them were greatly satisfied. Qin Haodong began to run his genuine qi to help her improve her cultivation through the double cultivation initiation. The next morning, Qi Wan-er's cultivation also reached the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm. Qin Haodong was not surprised at all. Although his current cultivation had entered the threshold of the Saint Realm, Qi Wan-er's state of mind was not enough. The double cultivation initiation technique could not help her become a saint. She could only rely on her own cultivation to improve her state of mind. Once his mental state was sufficient, he would naturally be able to break through the bottleneck of the Saint Realm. After breakfast he went to the Zhao family again and stayed with Zhao Qingwu for half a day. They made an appointment that Zhao Qingwu would move into the Tang sect tonight. During this period he also learned a lot about Han Jiu. Zhao Qingwu, one of the three beauties in the capital, liked to dance, Wei Yanran liked to paint, and Han Jiu regarded flowers as her life. In the suburbs of the imperial capital, Hua Jiu ran her own floral ecological club. In the beginning she only did it to satisfy her personal preferences. Who knew that more and more people would come to eat there, and it slowly became one of the high-end places in the imperial capital. In the food industry, its status was not inferior to that of the Taotai restaurant. Half an hour after leaving the Zhao family, Qin Haodong stood in front of the health club. It had to be said that the concept here was indeed very unique. The appearance of the entire ecological club was built like a blooming peony. It looked not only beautiful but also extremely elegant and classy. At this time it was close to noon, and there was an endless stream of guests coming to eat. The parking lot in front of the club was full of luxury cars. Those who could come here to eat were either elites in the industry, business celebrities, or people from the upper class. Qin Haodong stepped into the door of the club. After entering the door, he suddenly smelled a fragrance. In other restaurants there was the fragrance of food, but here there was the fragrance of flowers, which seemed to be free of the smell of smoke and fire. The entire hall of the ecological club was a sea of flowers. Precious flowers that were rarely seen outside could be seen everywhere here. Among the flowers, there were dining tables, and there was a pot of beautiful flowers on each table. It was a great enjoyment to eat in such a place, whether it was sensual or spiritual. No wonder the business here was so popular. While Qin Haodong was enjoying the scenery, a young girl suddenly came out and rushed to the door. He was slightly stunned and then shouted, "Sister, when did you come to the capital?" The girl was Wang Rubing, the secretary of the mayor of Jiangnan City. She was also surprised when she saw Qin Haodong, and then she shouted happily, "Haodong, why are you here?" Qin Haodong said, "I'm here to find someone." The establishment of the Tang sect in the capital was too complicated to explain in a short time, so Qin Haodong didn't say much. He asked again, "Sister, what are you doing here?" Wang Rubing sighed and said, "What else can I do? Treat people to dinner." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Isn't it good to have dinner? Why do you look unhappy?" "Happy? How can I be happy?" Wang Rubing said with annoyance, "The environment here is good, the food is good, and the food looks good, but you don't see the price. It's amazing. A dish can cost me a month's salary. Who would come here to eat if they had nothing to do?" Qin Haodong said, "It's nothing. You can order whatever you want here. I'll pay the bill for you later. You have a good time in the capital this time and all the expenses are on me." Wang Rubing glared at him and said, "Are you rich?" Qin Haodong really wanted to say that he was rich now, but he didn't dare to say that in front of Wang Rubing. Otherwise he would be questioned for 3 days and 3 nights. Wang Rubing said, "Actually, I'm not alone. Mayor Li is also here. We're here to invite a guest from the capital today." Wang Rubing briefly introduced the situation. It turned out that Wufeng County in Jiangnan City was one of the poorest counties in Wuxia. After Li Changji took office, he promoted the development of ecological agriculture in Wufeng County. This plan was supported by the government and a large amount of industrial assistance money. This was originally a good thing, but the people of Wufeng County failed to take the money away several times. They had been suppressed by a small section chief of the General Administration of Finance. Li Changji had no choice but to go in person and take Wang Rubing to the capital, hoping to bring the money back to Jiangnan province. Speaking of this, Wang Rubing said angrily, "That person is just a small section chief. His rank is not much higher than mine, but he is more arrogant than the mayor. It really pisses me off." Qin Haodong smiled. There was an old saying in Wuxia that it was easy to meet the king of hell, but it was difficult to resist the little devil. Some people at the grassroots were really difficult to deal with. He said, "Are you and Mayor Li going to invite that person to dinner today?" "Yes, we're inviting that person to dinner." Wang Rubing said discontentedly, "This is Mayor Li's treat out of his own pocket, but that person set the place here, saying that the environment is elegant. The environment is good, but the consumption has also increased. I just looked at an ordinary private room, and the minimum consumption is more than 30,000 yuan. Mayor Li is not very rich, so I booked a table in the hall." Qin Haodong said, "In fact, it's not necessary. I said that you can spend as much as you want here. I'll pay the bill later." Wang Rubing shook her head and said, "Forget it. With Mayor Li's temper he won't agree when he comes." Qin Haodong smiled and did not force her. He said, "If you can't handle this matter, I can help." Wang Rubing was his sister, and Wufeng County was his hometown. He was very willing to do something for his hometown. "This is the capital. Do you think it's Jiangnan?" Moreover, he is from the General Administration of Finance. Although he is not a high official, you can't help him. Wang Rubing did not know much about Qin Haodong's background. She thought that he was just looking for someone to do something in the capital. Naturally, she did not want to cause trouble for her brother. Well, you can do it first. If you can't do it, I'll help. Wang Rubing did not take his words seriously and said, Mayor Li and the senior section chief will be here soon. I'll go out to pick them up. After saying that, she hurriedly walked outside. After Wang Rubing left, Qin Haodong was about to find a waiter to ask where Han Jiu was when a young man came in from outside. The man looked to be in his 30s. He wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses and looked gentle. His suit was well-ironed and his hair was neatly combed. He carried a toolbox in his hand. It seemed that he was not here to eat. As soon as he entered the door, the lobby manager of the club greeted him warmly, Mr. Ma, you're here. Miss Han is waiting for you inside. The young man nodded and followed the manager inside. Qin Haodong heard that this man was going to see Han Jiu, so he did not bother to ask and followed them inside. The staff in the hall thought that he was the young man's follower, so no one stopped him. The manager led the way in front of them through the hall of the club in front. After walking through a long corridor, they came to the flower shed behind the club. After entering, the warm air blew on their faces, and the temperature was much higher than in the hall of the club. Looking around, Qin Haodong was slightly surprised. This flower shed was so big that he could not see the end of it at a glance. It seemed to be dozens of acres wide. There were all kinds of flowers everywhere in the flower shed, including almost all the flowers that people could imagine. The fragrance of the flowers was so strong that it was suffocating. However, for some reason the flowers here were all wilting. Many of them had entered a state of wilting, as if they had been in a drought for a long time. In this kind of artificial flower shed, there should not be such a thing as a drought. Inside the flower shed, many workers were constantly spraying water on the flowers, but the effect was not obvious. Many of the flowers' leaves seemed to have been roasted, and there was a withered yellow color in the withering. In front of the flower shed, a tall woman with a delicate face was looking at these flowers anxiously. From her eyes, it could be seen that she really felt heartache for these flowers. There were 7 or 8 florists standing next to her. These people looked at the withered flowers in front of them and kept shaking their heads and sighing. They were all well-known florists in the capital. Some of them had even worked with flowers for a lifetime, but they had never seen such a strange disease. Chapter 7:10. The manager stepped forward and said, Mr. Ma is here. The woman turned around. It was Han Jiu, one of the 3 most beautiful women in the capital. Han Jiu was wearing a white dress. She stood there like a blooming white lotus, holy and beautiful. At this time, she frowned slightly as if there was an unsolvable sorrow, which made people feel pity for her. Qin Haodong sighed secretly. She was indeed like a beautiful flower. He had seen many beautiful women. Although Han Jiu was beautiful, he only admired her. The young man named Mr. Ma in front of her was like a statue. He stood there and stared at Han Jiu as if he had lost his soul. Han Jiu frowned. Obviously, she was extremely dissatisfied with this person's performance. She said coldly, Mr. Ma, please help me check what's wrong with the flowers in this flower shed. Why did they all wither overnight? The young man came to his senses and said confidently, Miss Han, don't worry. With me, Ma Yuanchao, I guarantee that there will be no problem with your flowers. Ma Yuanchao was indeed confident. His teacher was Zhang Tianda, the chief academician of the Academy of Agricultural Sciences. Although he was just 30 years old, he had already been appointed as an associate researcher of the Academy of Agricultural Sciences, which was equivalent to an associate professor. He was an elite among the younger generation of the Academy of Agricultural Sciences. Han Jiu had originally invited Zhang Tianda this time, but it was a pity that Zhang Tianda was away, so he gave this task to his best student. In Ma Yuanchao's opinion, treating the sick flowers was a trifle for him. It was not worth mentioning at all. At first, he was a little unhappy, but when he saw Han Jiu, he immediately became excited as if he had been injected with chicken blood. It could be seen that this woman liked these flowers very much. As long as he showed a little bit of his ability to cure these flowers, he would definitely win her heart. Maybe he could even win her heart. Hearing that Ma Yuanchao could cure the flowers in her flower shed, Han Jiu's expression softened a little. She said to an old man in his 60s next to her, Mr. Zhang, can you tell us about our flower shed? The old man was about to step forward to speak, but Ma Yuanchao said first, there's no need to introduce it. In fact, it's very simple for flowers to get sick. It's nothing more than pests, soil, diseases, varieties and other problems. In front of the professionals of the Academy of Agricultural Sciences, These are all small problems that can be solved very quickly. The elderly man's expression changed. Although he was not highly educated and had never entered the Academy of Agricultural Sciences, he had accumulated a lifetime of experience in the field of flower cultivation. He was a famous florist in the imperial capital. If it was really as simple as Ma Yuanchao said, he would have solved these problems a long time ago. He was naturally dissatisfied with Ma Yuanchao's arrogance and said coldly, then asked the experts of the Academy of Agricultural Sciences to take a look and see what's wrong with these flowers. Ma Yuanchao naturally saw the old man's dissatisfaction, but he ignored it and said to Han Jiyu with a flattering face, Miss Han, don't worry. Give me 20 minutes and I will definitely find the root of the problem. After saying that, he opened the toolbox, put on a pair of gloves, took out a magnifying glass, and began to carefully examine the flower shed. Qin Haodong ignored these people and no one noticed his existence. They wandered around in the flower shed. It might be difficult for him to detect the problem in other places, but there were flowers everywhere. As the Emperor Greenwood, these plants were like his eyes, nose and ears. Soon he found the problem. After walking around, he returned to the crowd. At this time, Ma Yuanchao was holding a magnifying glass in his hand and observing a pot of golden-rimmed roses. This pot of roses used to be very lush, but now it had withered and the blooming flowers had shrunk. There was no breath of life at all. The temperature in the flower shed was very high. It seemed that Ma Yuanchao had not found the root of the problem. He looked anxious and the sweat on his forehead dripped into the flower pot. The old man surnamed Zhang looked at his watch and said coldly, Expert from the Academy of Agricultural Sciences, it's been half an hour. Didn't you say that you could find the root of the problem in 20 minutes? Should there be a result now? Ma Yuanchao's face was full of annoyance. At first he was still full of confidence, but after seeing these flowers, it actually did not match up with the knowledge he had learned. He searched through all the memories in his mind, but he could not find the problem. He even had a video call with his teacher, Zhang Tianda, but Zhang Tianda could not determine the cause of the withered flowers. He put away the magnifying glass, raised his head and said awkwardly, The problem here is too complicated. I have to take the soil samples and the sick flowers back for a detailed test. But Miss Han, don't worry. As long as you give me 3 days, I will definitely find the root of the disease. Han Jiyu originally had great hope for the expert invited by the Academy of Agricultural Sciences, but her face immediately darkened after hearing his words. It had only been more than 10 hours since they found the problem last night. Half of the flowers had withered and died. If they waited for another 3 days, even if they found the problem, there would be no more living flowers in the entire flower shed. The old man surnamed Zhang sneered and said, You were so sure just now that you can find the root of the problem in 20 minutes. Now you need 3 days. Can you do it or not? At this moment, a clear voice said, He can't do it. Let me do it. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a handsome young man standing there, looking at them with a smile. Hearing this person say that he could not do it, Ma Yuanchao said angrily, Who are you? Han Jiyu said in surprise, Mr. Ma, isn't he the person you brought here? Ma Yuanchao said, I don't know him. Seeing that it was not Ma Yuanchao's attendant, Han Jiyu asked discontentedly, Who are you? What are you doing here? Although the young man looked very handsome, she was now worried about the flowers in the flower shed and was in a bad mood. Qin Haodong smiled and said, Let me introduce myself. My name is Qin Haodong and I'm a doctor. Hearing that he was a doctor, Ma Yuanchao shouted angrily, Doctor? You're just a doctor. What qualifications do you have to criticize me here? Could it be that you can cure these flowers? The other flower experts also showed a look of disapproval. Only Han Jiyu's face turned pale when she heard Qin Haodong's name. Grandpa had just mentioned this person to her yesterday, but she did not expect that he would come to her today. In her impression, the young man in front of her was a 9th-level Supreme Power Master, who was definitely not someone to be trifled with. She was afraid that Qin Haodong would kill Ma Yuanchao if he was unhappy, so she hurriedly said, Mr. Ma, please don't talk so much. But Ma Yuanchao was just an ordinary person. He did not know the battle between the big families, nor did he know how terrible a 9th-level Supreme Power Master was. In his eyes, Han Jiyu's words were completely disdainful of him. He immediately shouted, Miss Han, please believe me. I can assure you that our Academy of Agricultural Sciences is absolutely the best expert in flowers. Even we can't find the problem, so he definitely can't do anything about it. Han Jiyu really did not want to talk nonsense with him. She turned to Qin Haodong and said, What are you doing here? It was the same question, but the meaning of it was completely different from before. Just now she was just asking a stranger, but now she was facing a 9th-level Supreme Power Master who dominated the capital. Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Your grandfather even sent your dowry to our Tang sect. I have to come and see you." After he said that, Ma Yuanchao's expression suddenly changed. He did not expect that the goddess in his heart had already been engaged, and it seemed to be an arranged marriage. The two of them had not even seen each other, but their marriage had been arranged by their families. He shouted angrily, "Miss Han, what era is it now? How can there be an arranged marriage? Don't care so much about it. You should dare to stand up against the feudal evil." Ma Yuanchao spoke passionately and indignantly, but Han Jiu did not even look at him. She continued to say to Qin Haodong, "I can admit the engagement between us, but if you come here like this, even if you get my body, you can't get my heart. Miss Han, you can't give up like this. You have to dare to fight against an arranged marriage." "Don't worry, I can help you," Ma Yuanchao shouted again, but Qin Haodong still ignored him. He smiled and said to Han Jiu, "Miss Han, how can I win your heart?" Han Jiu said, "If you can cure all the flowers in my garden, my heart will be yours in the future." A charming smile appeared on Qin Haodong's handsome face. "It's a deal?" He was the Emperor Greenwood. It was as easy as eating and drinking for him to cure the diseases of flowers. If it were not for the special reason here, he would only need to flick his fingers to make these flowers come back to life. Although no one paid attention to him, Ma Yuanchao was unwilling to be left out. He shouted again, "Boy, don't force yourself. Even the experts of our Academy of Agricultural Sciences can't find the problem with these flowers. How can you cure them?" Qin Haodong looked at him coldly. This fly was really annoying. The experts of the Academy of Agricultural Sciences are not immortals. Today I'll open your eyes. There's always someone better than you. As he spoke, he reached out and picked a withered rose from the pot of gold-rimmed roses under his feet. It was a flower bud which had been in bud before, but unfortunately, it suddenly withered and became a withered flower bud. Ma Yuanchao shouted, "Boy, what are you doing? Even if you can't cure them, don't destroy these flowers." Han Jiu also frowned slightly. It was obvious that she was very dissatisfied with Qin Haodong's action. But at this moment, her big eyes suddenly lit up. Qin Haodong reached out and flicked the flower bud. The gold-rimmed rose, which had withered and died, not only immediately regained its vitality, but also bloomed in an instant. A beautiful gold-rimmed rose appeared in front of her. "Miss Han, it's our first time meeting. Here's a small gift for you," Qin Haodong said as he handed the rose in his hand to Han Jiu. "Thank you." After recovering from the shock, Han Jiu stretched out her slender hand and took the flower. She was obviously very satisfied with Qin Haodong. She took the gold-rimmed rose in front of her, closed her eyes gently and sniffed it with her nose. The fragrance of the flowers made her feel particularly intoxicated. Ma Yuanchao was also shocked, but then he shouted, "Boy, it's just a little magic trick. If you have the ability, you can save the flowers in the garden." He did think so too. How could someone make the withered rose bloom again? He was not an immortal. He must have used magic to replace the withered rose. After hearing what he said, the others also nodded and focused their eyes on Qin Haodong. "Don't worry, I'll show you what I can do now." After Qin Haodong said that, he reached out and grabbed in the air. Chapter 7:11. The onlookers widened their eyes, but they did not see what Qin Haodong was holding. Ma Yuanchao shouted, "What are you doing? Are you trying to deceive us?" Qin Haodong said to Han Jiu, "Do you feel any changes?" "Changes?" Han Jiu felt it carefully and suddenly shouted, "Why do I feel much cooler?" After hearing her words, the others also reacted. In such a short time, the temperature in the flower shed seemed to have dropped a lot, and the heat that made people feel irritated disappeared. Ma Yuanchao said, "Everyone is waiting for you to treat the flowers. Why do you care whether it's cool or not? Does it have anything to do with you?" "Ignorant man, I'll show you what I can do now." After that, Qin Haodong stomped his feet and shouted, "Open!" Following his shout, all the flowers and plants in the entire flower shed were like soldiers who had received orders. They bloomed with vitality, and beautiful flowers bloomed one by one. The decaying flower shed instantly turned into a sea of flowers. The fragrance filled the air and enveloped the whole place. The people in the flower shed were shocked by the scene around them. They could not believe it was true. Why is the longevity flower blooming? Its flowering period is from January to April. Why is it blooming now? Oh my God, look, these iron trees are also blooming. A middle-aged florist pointed to an iron tree next to him and shouted in surprise. As everyone knew, it was very difficult for iron trees to bloom. Even if there were 1 or 2 branches, it was very rare. But now there were many flowers blooming. Look, the epiphyllum is also blooming. The so-called short-lived epiphyllum was extremely rare. This kind of epiphyllum usually bloomed late at night and its flowering period was very short. They did not expect that it was blooming now. The people present were like Granny Lu entering the Grand View Garden. They looked around and kept exclaiming. It was no wonder that they were so shocked. Qin Haodong's shout just now even made the bristle grass next to them blossom into small flowers. Ma Yuanchao opened his mouth wide and stood there as if he had been frozen. He could not believe all this. It was completely unscientific. Could it be that the young man in front of him was an immortal? How was this possible? Han Jiyu held her hands in front of her chest and looked at the flower shed that had regained its vitality and the blooming flowers around her. She felt that her heart had lost the ability to beat. She had a special fondness for flowers since she was a child. She once secretly vowed that she would marry a man who loved flowers. She just wanted to make things difficult for Qin Haodong and vent her dissatisfaction with her grandpa's arranged marriage. But she didn't expect that this man would give her a miracle. With a raise of his hand, all the flowers in the garden bloomed. What a magical man. There was a faint smile on Qin Haodong's face. As Emperor Greenwood, controlling vegetation was a piece of cake for him, so he did not take it seriously. Miss Han, isn't it time for you to fulfill your promise? Han Jiyu glanced at him shyly, then turned to the people next to her and said, "You can leave now." The staff of the flower shed knew that the miss had something to talk about, so they walked out one after another. Ma Yuanchao came to his senses and looked ashamed. He did not dare to look at Han Jiyu again. He carried his toolbox in one hand and ran out in a hurry. Soon, only Qin Haodong and Han Jiyu were left in the sea of flowers. Han Jiyu said, "Can you tell me how you did it? What's wrong with these flowers of mine?" Qin Haodong said with a smirk, "Of course, but you have to kiss me first." Han Jiyu became more and more shy. "We just met for the first time. How can you make such an unreasonable request?" Qin Haodong suddenly reached out and held her in his arms. He stared into her eyes and said, "It's nothing. We have an engagement. You are mine and no one can take you away from me. Besides, you just said that as long as I cure these flowers, you will be mine and your heart will be mine. Are you going to break your promise?" "I'm not breaking my promise. Just kiss me. What's the big deal?" After Han Jiyu said that, she gave Qin Haodong her delicate red lips and they kissed each other tightly. Originally, she just wanted to kiss him gently, but after kissing him, she immediately seemed to be attracted to him. The two of them kissed like glue, as if they had forgotten the whole world. After a long time, Han Jiyu pushed Qin Haodong away and said while panting, "You promised to kiss me." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "It's also a kiss. We never separated." "You rascal." Han Jiyu said, "Tell me, how did you do it? What's wrong with my flower shed?" Qin Haodong stretched out his hand and a small red stone the size of a cobblestone appeared in his palm. "It's the culprit behind the death of the flowers here." Han Jiyu looked at the small stone. It looked no different from an ordinary cobblestone, but its color was exceptionally red. There seemed to be a small flame jumping in the stone. "What is this?" She reached out to grab the small stone. Qin Haodong quickly stopped her and said, "Don't touch it. It's called a flaming crystal. It will burn you." "How could it be? I can't feel its temperature at all." Although Han Jiyu said so, she still took her hand back. She had an inexplicable sense of trust in the man in front of her. Qin Haodong said, "Don't underestimate this little thing. You can't feel its temperature because I wrapped it with genuine qi. Once I release it, the whole flower shed will be burned to ashes." He was not exaggerating at all. If he had not reached the nascent soul stage, he would not have been able to control this flaming crystal with his genuine qi. He had seen the flaming crystal in the cultivation world. It was formed by the essence of fire. He did not expect to see it on earth. Han Jiyu said in confusion, "Do you mean that all the flowers in my garden began to wither because of it?" Qin Haodong nodded and said, "As soon as I came in, I felt that something was wrong. Not only was the temperature high, but the yang qi was also too strong. The reason why these flowers withered was that they could not stand the excessive yang qi." After some investigation, he found that the flaming crystal was buried under the flowers. Just now, he used the force of his stomp to shake the crystal out of the ground and then put it into the storage ring. "But my flower shed has been built for a few years. Why did nothing happen before?" Qin Haodong said, "Did you choose to build the flower shed here because it was warmer here?" Han Jiyu nodded and said, "Yes, the climate here is warmer than other places. Even in winter and autumn there are flowers blooming, so I built the flower shed here. Qin Haodong said, that's right. The flaming crystal has a sleeping period, which is equivalent to hibernation of animals. It was always in a state of sleep before, so the temperature was not too high. It was just right for growing flowers. Now it shows signs of waking up, so the heat is getting stronger and stronger. Naturally, the flowers here can't stand it. Fortunately, it takes a long time to wake up. If it reaches its best state at once, there will definitely be a fire here and the club in front will be burned to ashes. After hearing what he said, Han Ji was shocked. Fortunately, Qin Haodong came today. Otherwise, all her efforts over the years would be in vain. Well, I've solved all the problems. You can leave this place to others in the future. There won't be any problems. Leave it to others? This is my flower shed. Why should I leave it to others? Han Jiu blinked her beautiful big eyes and asked in confusion. Qin Haodong held her in his arms again and kissed her hard. Then he said, do you know now? You will be mine from now on, so you will naturally go back to the Tang sect with me. But my place is also very spacious. You can grow any flowers you want. Han Jiu gasped and said charmingly, who said I want to go with you? Qin Haodong looked at her with a smirk. What's wrong? Haven't you kissed me enough? Han Jiu hurriedly said, I've kissed you enough. I'll go with you, okay? After that, she glared at Qin Haodong charmingly and said, you only know how to bully me. It's broad daylight. If others see us like this, I'll be embarrassed. Qin Haodong said with a smile, who cares? We're legally married. Your grandfather has even sent me a dowry. What's there to be embarrassed about? From today on, I'm your man. You're so annoying. Although Han Jiu said so, she buried her head in Qin Haodong's arms. She enjoyed this man's domineering attitude very much. After a long time, Qin Haodong patted her on the back and said, well, my sister is eating in front. Let's go and have a look. After that, the two of them walked to the ecological club in front of them. Wang Rubing booked a seat and waited for the arrival of the guests at the door. As soon as she stood at the door, Li Changji arrived. The two of them waited together for a long time, and the big-bellied Chief Gao finally arrived. Section Chief Gao was called Gao Jiangong. He was a small section chief in the General Finance Department. Although his position was not high, he had great power. Many of the funds allocated by the higher-ups had to go through his hands. This made him the god of wealth in the eyes of all departments. The money from Wufeng County in Jiangnan City had been approved for a long time, but he still refused to let them go. The reason was very simple. Jiangnan City did not say anything at all. They did not even treat them to a meal. How could they let them take the money away so easily? After a period of time, Jiangnan City finally responded. Today, the mayor personally came to treat them, which made him quite satisfied. With real power in his hands, he did not make any big mistakes. He had almost eaten in all the restaurants in the capital, big and small, and he liked the Flower Square Health Club very much. He had come here several times with his superiors. He felt that the environment here was good and comfortable, and the food here tasted good. It was just a little expensive, but it had nothing to do with him. Anyway, he did not have to pay for it himself. After seeing Gao Jiangong, Li Changji and Wang Rubing immediately greeted him politely. Chief Gao, hello. We have been waiting for a long time. Although in terms of rank, Li Changji was much higher than him, a county official was not as good as a local official. Li Changji had the financial power, so he had to bow his head. Gao Jiangong was used to meeting leaders from all over the country, big and small. He was not polite to Li Changji. He patted his big belly and said in an official tone, you must be Mr. Li from Jiangnan City. I'm sorry I'm a little late. You know the capital is very busy. Sorry to keep you waiting. It doesn't matter. We just arrived. Li Changji and Wang Rubing were polite, and then they let Gao Jiangong into the club. Seeing Wang Rubing leading him to sit in front of a table, Gao Jingong's face immediately darkened. They don't even have a private room to treat us to a meal. What are these foreigners doing? Seeing the guy's dissatisfaction, Wang Rubing forcibly suppressed the anger in her heart and said apologetically, I'm sorry, Chief Gao. I'm a little late. There are no more private rooms here. I can only ask you to sit here. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.